Hello, everybody. Welcome to the weekly podcast, the Hot Poll Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Steele, and joining me this week is a returning special guest, Mr. Scott Elliott from Chernobyl Studios. Hello. Good evening, morning. Hello, everybody. It's pretty warm. Yeah, I'm in England. I had to take a middle of the day shower. Yeah, for England, that's crazy. Whew. Can boil water at that temperature. They can't hear you. Oh, they can't hear you. 1 second. Let me press some buttons. One, two. There we go. Say hello, everybody, to Scott from Chernobyl Studios. Let's try that again. Hi.
All right. So let's begin. It was so perfect.
We were talking about how...
We'll wait for everyone to say I can hear it now.
Yes, everybody, you can stop typing now. We know.
There's a gap. How long is this gap? Do you do it on purpose?
No, that's just the streaming delay on going through Restream and YouTube and all that kind of stuff.
Restream, gotcha. Because I know, like, if you do solely on Twitch, you could actually put like a 120-second delay on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
that's a little much, but yes, it's warm. It's very
I would like
warm.
to know how freaking hot it is for everyone else in the world.
Yes.
If it is unreasonably hot, hit 1 in the chat, like I was doing.
Ooh. Yes, all it takes is one little input button. We had everything perfectly set up, but no. But yes, we are fixed now, and we are both warm. I'm drinking a beer that's got a name on that I can't pronounce. Hell,
it's Polish. Nice.
What do you know? What it's? Do you know how to say that?
No way, dude.
Okay,
it's Polish, but this is mine.
I know you don't speak Polish. I was just wondering if you kind of had some insight on pronunciation, but
no, I get confused because it's Latin characters with Slavic pronunciation. If it was in Russian, I could read it.
Oh, fair.
When people with Russian start transliterating Russian with Latin characters, my mind I see a J, it's a J.
Yeah.
You know, and so people are like, "We can't read that." I'm like, "No, I can't. I can read Russian."
Al in chat is doing all right because he's American, so he's got AC because that's what they do because they're smart.
Well,
we just sweat.
I got AC units on, but again, full toddler. You can't run the AC units all the time. Plus, for me, my eyes dry out instantly, so it's uncomfortable. So, like, and actually, I'm in the only room that doesn't have an AC unit. There's a room there's an AC unit in every room of this apartment except mine.
Yeah, we've got AC units called windows.
Well, this curtain back here is sort of putting a damper on my AC unit at the moment.
Yeah.
But actually, we have an AC unit in the kitchen, which has turned out to be a magnificent thing because you can cook a steak in comfort now, not sweating to death.
Clever. I wonder if it soaks up all the smoke from the steak and then just goes.
Nope. That's why you got the what's that? The fan above the stove. That's what that one does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what ours is supposed to do. But you cook a steak and 20 seconds later it's thick with smoke and beep 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 and oh god.
Yeah, you're like, oh crap, wasn't fast enough. Yeah, I mean, let's see, it's middle of July, which means it's almost August, which means it's almost September, which means it's closer to winter, which means my mood will improve as this month ends.
Your black
What's up,
metal
guys in
self
chat?
will
Good to see
retreat to
everyone.
the forest.
Dude, I am anyone who can look me in the face and go, I don't know, man, I really like hot weather. I feel so comfortable. I will not. I won't be able to trust that person.
Yeah,
ever.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't get it either. People are like, I love the sun. I'm like, well, that's great because it grows the crops and all, but no. We evolved to not have hair because of this.
Yeah. It's like, it's a little bit too hot for my genetics, boys. I'm gonna stay inside.
Exactly.
And look at this. I've been outside maybe for 4 hours. I don't know if this will show up on camera, but if I move this,
Oh, there's a big white streak. Yeah.
Yeah, you can. I mean, I'm white, but then you're like, this is how white I really am.
Yeah, you are studio white.
My wife's even worse. She's like another level of white than me.
Isn't she like a natural blonde and just?
Yeah. She's super, super white. Very, like very, very, very.
Just
like she goes outside, freckles appear instantly.
Logical step away from albino.
Right. It's
Yes. So anyway, yeah. Forget the sun. We've got music tech stuff. Lots
of
tech. Yeah, I know. We've got studio-y nerdy stuff to talk about. Oh, blimey. What a couple of weeks it has been. Since I last saw you, I've got some interesting gear. I've just got this new Electro Harmonix parallel tri-mixer. That's really cool. Talk about
now you'll be able
nerd stuff.
You'll be able to try anything.
Right, thank you everybody. Good night. That was Scott. Cheers.
Listen, it's okay. It's acceptable. We're both fathers. I thought this was okay.
That's a good point. Yeah, dad jokes on form. So yes, Marty says roll the intro. We rolled the intro at the start. We already did the intro.
Yeah.
It'd be
you
weird.
Must have been hugging the AC unit, Marty.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a crazy busy week for me. How's it been for you? Last few weeks, not seen you on the channel for a little while.
Well, that's because there's a fucking wedding that I have to go to tomorrow. That has been consuming my life all week.
My own wedding has
basically what that means
is
like we were invited, which is fine. There's no issue about it, but I mean, like, it's just the dichotomy between how a woman shops for clothes for said occasion and how a man does that. You know, it's a full week experience for her to find what she needs, and yesterday I found everything I needed in one time. So basically, she goes to the store. It's just easier for me to be with the baby. She's not really a baby anymore. So I'm with my daughter. We're playing and jamming, listening to music, and I'm doing nothing.
Sounds familiar. I had that yesterday. My daughter's now 3, and she insists on all sorts of things, like trying to draw on the floor with chalk, or making the Play-Doh into brown colours, or trying to feed poison to the new guinea pigs.
That one I would probably stop her from.
It's constant vigilance.
That one would be like fun. I've sort of have weighed my options. Like, here are your colored pencils. If you're gonna draw on something, just draw on the floor because we can wash that off.
Yeah. Well, there is.
Or if you want to draw on the wall, go in your room where it is a complete masterpiece of scribblings on the wall now. We'll have to re-wallpaper the room when we leave. But just can't stop them.
A couple of guys in chat saying the stream didn't auto start, which is weird. Oh, from when they were watching it, it just didn't kick in. But that's okay. You're all here now. Hello. Yeah, weird.
Grab a beer.
We've got quite a few people in watching today, and that may well be because of partly the giveaway is now on. Did I tell you we've got a giveaway? You talk about that?
Yeah, I saw that video.
Yeah.
Relax, everybody. I'm not taking part. I can't take part because Adam and I are quote-unquote friends. I tried to defriend him for this frame of time, but it didn't work.
You've already won. I send you things like medical documents.
Yes, the medical documents.
That old story.
Brilliant. Yeah, so I can't win, so don't worry, guys. No issue. But those are some really sweet prizes that you're giving away, and congrats on the 50K.
Thank you.
I'll probably be like 50 years old before I hit 50K.
It kind of happened like that, and recently it's gone and just kind of leveled off a little. But we've seen a resurgence this week because of the video that's really upsetting people, which is the video we put out. There was 10 reasons Reaper is better than Pro Tools. So much salt in the comments. So much salt. It's been hilarious.
You could make that video 100 times over and still have more reasons.
Yeah, and I started simple and I started fair, and people are still like, but I've had everything from no, it isn't to Pro Tools is the industry standard, and I'm like, well, okay, so that's one reason. Give me another 9, and they're like, I've had, why do we need this video? Despite the fact that it's had 10 times the views that any other video that I do has. So obviously there's some
Right.
need for it. So
Well,
whoever
it's
you are, Mr. Commenter, saying who needs this, what you actually mean is I don't like this because I'm in it.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I sort of mentioned off stream a little bit. Like I just like to use Cubase for personal reasons that are like
Mm.
negligible. I would never sit here and go Reaper sucks.
No.
I know how to do everything in Reaper that I can do in Cubase. Sometimes it can be faster in Reaper. However, I am just so much of a I like to be in a very specific way that I work that just Reaper still I can't get used to it. But it works just fine. So it's not like Cubase sucks or Reaper sucks, Cubase is better argument.
Yeah.
It's just this is how I prefer to work.
Yeah.
Because I still have to think about it sometimes when I'm in Reaper. I'm looking for something, I automatically scroll down, and I'm like, ah, shit, it's up here.
I mean,
I'm sure that would go away if I used Reaper, but whatever.
there are good reasons for everything, and as long as people are nice and civil about it, it's all good. But a lot of people don't see it that way. Like, Pro Tools has a thing called playlists, and playlists are amazing, where you can record a whole song, change different sections, and have like variations of sections, and click one button and it'll swap them out. That is
Yeah,
genius.
yeah.
That is the kind of thing that is genuinely used in recording studios if people are writing in the studio to go, let's try a different version of this section and go, that one. No, I prefer the second version.
Cakewalk did that too, actually.
Yeah. But
But I mean,
it was always kind of a key feature of Pro Tools. And
sure.
But I'm the only one who, I think it was one person in the whole comment section who said that. And it's like, well, I'm okay with good reasons to use software. I'm not as anti-Pro Tools as everybody thinks. I'm really not. But people want to be combative, I think, is the thing. That I come up with good reasons why one piece of software, which arguably a lot of people don't know very much about, some people do, but a lot of people don't. And I'm trying to educate people and enlighten people and go, hey, like, you 16-year-old kid, you want to record, you can't afford Pro Tools. Here's this other thing that people use, and here's why I think it's good. And everyone's like, no, you can't say that. Pro Tools is a... It's like, no, stop. Cool your heels.
I remember...
Go and sit down. Go and sit on the naughty step for a while.
The first time I heard about Reaper was 2013.
Right. I started using it in
I bought my first license.
2009. But
yeah.
that's...
I think my first license is when proper Reaper 4 came out. So I was messing around with Reaper 3 point whatever it was. Reaper 4 came out, I grabbed a license. This was 2013. So I actually still lived in Russia, actually. So where Reaper is now, both as a program, as a platform, and in the conversation of audio DAWs, as comparison to where it was 7 years ago, if it was so bad, it would have died an ugly death a long time ago. Or it just would continue to be irrelevant and never have any market share. Of course, there is a big argument that it does help that the guy who makes it is already ridiculously rich for selling Winamp. So there's no pressure, as it were.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean,
a lot of the time, I wish they'd charge twice as much for it, because suddenly people would see it as twice as good. Because they conflate price with value.
Yeah, that's very true, actually. And one of the things that I really hated when I first started working on it was like the MIDI was a bit rough for me to get used to in 2014. Still wasn't quite, people didn't have the scripts and stuff that they've created now. So it was still a bit, not archaic, but it was a bit raw. I still preferred the Cakewalk PRV back then, piano roll view. And I gotta say, doing all the research and teaching myself to do what I would do in Reaper for drum programming, that's totally viable now. I mean, you can blaze away programming in Reaper
Yeah.
MIDI.
It's
And I did it.
it's funny. Like I originally, and this is 12, 13 years ago now, I switched to Reaper because I was fully qualified in using Cubase, and it wasn't able to do the things I wanted it to do. And I was really frustrated that it's like, well, why can't it do this obvious thing? And then someone showed me what Reaper was and was like, can it do this thing? Yes, it can. How about all these other things that have been limited in Cubase? Click, 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 click. Okay, alright, it's a little janky, but I'll work with it. And over time, it got less and less janky and more like a serious contender. And it turns out this many years later that because I've been using it so long and I'm kind of second nature with it, it turns out that I've ended up as kind of a figure in the Reaper community. But I never set out to do that. That's the funny thing.
I just use the program.
Yeah. But there are so many people with their heads in the sand from other DAWs, but especially the Pro Tools user base. There is a percentage, and it might be less than 1%, but there is a percentage who are so bullheaded about what they do and just what they do. And they're like, well, what I do is the best thing and you will never be relevant. It's like, I just started standing up for the little guy. Who are you again? Yeah. I started standing up for the little guy and going, hang on. No, I'm going to stop you there. And it's funny how many people get so butthurt about that.
There was a video. I touched on this video with you, I think it was yesterday, the day before, where Sturgis was talking about using Neuron 3 with the stability module and then Waves Factory Track Spacer to do automatic AI mixing for him.
Right.
And there's a comment down here, guys, like, oh, yeah, this is what mixing is going to be in 10 years. No one's going to have to make any decisions anymore. Just buy the plugins, have a great mix. And I was like, if that was the case, you and all the other tens of thousands of people who have these plugins would have the results Sturgis is getting right now. But you don't.
Yeah, you don't, because you have to have a good mix and good foundations for those last few little fairy dust things to do the right thing.
Because it was on an instrument bus. He was doing the track spacer to make space for vocals. Then it was going to Neuron, which is the Shapeify thing, which was at like 30%, which went into, I believe it was VBC Gray. I remember off the top of my head.
The SSL compressor.
Yeah, the old chestnut that you.
Yeah.
And then he literally showed the same ozone settings he'd been using for like 15 years. So.
It works. I mean,
that's what he said.
I use ozone sometimes, but I'm a bit of a tone chaser with that last 1%. But I'll freely admit that I'm a tone chaser, and if I'm in a rush and I've got a deadline to meet, I'll go back to what I know, just like Joey. It's like, right, I've got 10 minutes, I've got a deadline, this guy needs this result now. So, right, that. Sounds good. Moving on.
Well, I mean, that's his thing, right? I mean, he is trying, he's got his style and he's got his quirks, like, oh, this is a Sturgis mix. But, I mean, even that gets boring after a while. You're always looking for a way to do it better, do it faster, better quality. And that comment struck me as asinine, because why wouldn't you use better technology to get a better result faster? You still have to learn how to do it. Like that Neuron thing, that Shapeify module is not going to make your mix sound great if you have a shit mix.
No.
You already need, it's literally it's sort of like a dynamic smiley face EQ, so it's going to bump the low ends, scoop out some of your mids, and then raise the highs. But if all that stuff is out of balance in your actual mix and you throw that on there, that's it. It's like a band-aid on a compound fracture. Nothing's gonna happen.
Okay, well, let's start. Oh, that shouldn't be on screen yet. Why is that?
Oh gosh, what'd you do?
It's fine. There was a little thing saying now playing at the bottom of the screen, which isn't playing and won't be till later. But we're going to be playing a track for you at the end of the stream from some of the live streams I've been doing recently, which includes The first article of the news, I'm going to do the headline article second, so bear with us there. But we're going to talk about the news because this is perfectly relevant to what we're talking about. The news!
Yes.
So, our first article of the news is Gullfoss, the really cool AI kind of EQ sculpting plugin, now has a new thing called Gullfoss Master. And hello.
Thank you for the beer.
Hello. Everybody say hello.
Hi, Stacy.
Hi.
Get on the Stacy chat.
Yep, Scott.
Hi.
Hi.
There you go. All right. Tam jest snacky, jesteś to. No, tam Syrię kupili. Yeah. Извини. Sorry, continue.
It's all right. I completely agree, I guess. So, Gullfoss has a new version called Gullfoss Master. And for anyone who already owns Gullfoss, you get this for free. This is part of the new update. If you buy Gullfoss now, this comes... You buy one thing, and you get Gullfoss Standard, Gullfoss Live, which is for real time, and this. So this is a new thing, and it's a different colour, which is nice, but that's not the reason why it's cool. The reason why this is cool is apparently the engine has been slightly reworked to be more transparent. In this case, it's specifically redesigned for mastering, because if you're using Gullfoss on, like, say, a guitar track or a drum track or something, it can be quite aggressive, really taking out nasty things and that kind of,
Well, it makes the guitar too clean.
If you want it to. You can go crazy with it, but on the master bus, if you use Gullfoss, you've got to be incredibly gentle, otherwise it can make things sound really weird really quick. And so this new mastering version, they've tweaked it also, like these settings at the top, like recover and tame, which they're the main two of how much it either adds stuff or just takes awful things away. And with the normal Gullfoss, you drag that with a mouse and it goes whoosh, and pretty quick. Nice. Before you know it, you're at 200%. And on the master version, you really have to drag the mouse like you play in a first-person shooter just to get anywhere.
Yeah. 400 DPI.
Right, yeah. But they've done that on purpose because you probably only want a little sprinkling of, like, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And so it's been kind of redesigned there. There's also a sidechain input available, which is nice. I don't know where I would use that, but I know that's a pretty cool option. And because
these pieces of technology are just people. I know they're being marketed in a specific way where people think it's going to be like, oh, just press the button and it sounds good. It's literally just like the last 5 to 10% of a mix where you've done everything you can do with the tools that you have, and you just can't automate everything. Yeah. So if you have a good dynamic EQ AI plugin that can be like, I got this, bro. Hold my beer.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not going to fix the mix at all.
No, it really doesn't. Like I said, I used this earlier on a track which we're going to play later in the show, and it just did the tiniest little things. Like, you get all your old schoolers who say, like, oh, we didn't have that in our generation, everything sounded fine, and you go, well, actually, on balance, not really, yeah. All the stuff that you did sounded good, but by the 2021 modern standards, there's a nasty tone here. There's a bit of a here. There's a bit of a there's a bit of a rumble in this. It's like there are problems in most mixes.
It's really funny you say that.
Yeah,
it's because your ears grow. Well, I mean, for me, I had a moment in time where I realized I can't go back and listen to some of the records because I hear a whistling noise at 3 whatever K in the guitar, and I can't hear the music anymore.
Yeah.
So there was a time where that frequency was just like, it didn't exist. We didn't know we were supposed to look for that, so we didn't hear it. And now you throw the song on, it's like, good Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
What the hell? You can't hear it, you can't listen to it anymore.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of that, like 80s metal stuff like that, you sort of just have to appreciate it for what it is. Like, pretty good, cool.
Exactly.
Like the Beatles, like, oh great, I love having my drums all the way to the left. That's what I love.
Yeah. If you listen to a lot of
Yeah.
Beatles stuff, I know it's sacrilegious, but if you listen with any sort of objectivity, it sounds awful. Like some of those
Of course it does.
clean guitars are just like blank, 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 blank. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh,
And
jeez.
that's pretty
But-
much the experience up until the late 80s, early 90s when computers started to come in
Yeah.
and be able to do something about it.
But that's the thing. For that time, it was okay, and it is okay.
Yeah.
But we're not in
Dude,
that
if we were
time
alive
period.
in 1985, if we were alive in 85 doing what we're doing now, and that's all we knew, then that would be great.
Yeah.
But we're different now. It's
That's
the way it is.
Yeah, we have certain expectations to work to, and for anybody who says, "Oh, you can just not live up to those expectations. You can do your own thing," it's like, yeah, sure, but then I'm never going to sell anything, and nobody's going to hire me.
Listen,
You know.
you're a trained Olympic athlete. Just don't bother living up to your expectations. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's exactly it, and that's actually a really good analogy. If you look at athletes from the 1960s, 1970s. And you compare them to athletes now, you can be like, oh, well, I train all natural like they did in the 60s. What, yeah, and smoke 20 a day and drink beer on your training days.
Yeah.
You're not going to win.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you
yeah.
have to be cookie cutter either. It doesn't mean that you have to be the same as everybody else. But these are tools that mean that you can still go your own way. And if there are
Absolutely.
any tiny little, minute little issues that you could fix with 3 weeks with like some insanity in an automation lane, or you can just put this on and it will know the same things that you know, and it'll just fix them.
Well, and you see, and it's your job to make its job easier by taking care of the balance, by taking care of the obvious problems, by doing the heavy lifting and all the hard work, so that it can just come in there and basically smooth it out for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand. And these are the same. I almost said a bad word.
Mhm.
These are the same people who are probably using vocal and bass rider from Waves.
Yeah.
Who are now gonna bitch about? Hey, what do you mean? Can't. Okay, fine. Just do everything by hand then. Sure. I'm sorry. That's asinine in 2021.
Yeah, it's funny, but I don't know. It's the other thing that comes to mind is the way that this like catches and softens things like kind of like a 1K peak on a vocal or a little bit of a tss up top. It's very similar to how most analog tape does a similar thing. Except that if you drive analog tape far enough that it starts to do these forgiving things on peaks, it'll begin to distort. Which, again, for a time and place
Yeah.
in a genre, great, do it. On
Right.
more like vintage rock stuff, that's exactly what I do.
On this mix actually that you're gonna show, that's exactly what you've done. Actually, commented like how you were managed to get this distorted, tubby thubby, but clean guitar tone at the same time.
Yeah,
Because I'm on the opposite spectrum. I want tight, clinical, thick, but I don't want tubby, tubey, distorted. So it was really interesting to hear how you did that.
but funnily enough, if I was going to mix, I don't know, let's go wild and say I was going to mix the next Fear Factory album, it wouldn't sound like the thing we're going to hear tonight from Masetto. I would make it, like you say, clean, clinical, clear, tight.
Right.
Because it's genre appropriate. Whereas the song we're going to listen to is it's modern rock, but it is rock. And it's rock kind of has that big bottom end and that big belligerent, strident, whoop, whoop, whoop kind of thing. Within reason. You know, yeah. So
Hello
yeah.
to everyone who's coming from my Discord, by the way. I see you guys I can't talk as much as Adam because he's the host, so I gotta
That's all right.
gotta show some
You're the
respect.
guest. You can talk balls if you want. Anyway,
Adam, shut the fuck up. So anyway, what I wanted to say was, no, I'm kidding.
so let's move on from this to something you're really gonna hate. So Gullfoss is $199 for all three, for the live, the Gullfoss, and the Gullfoss Master version. And that's
Before you go, I would just like
on.
to say that I really dislike people personally who want to bitch about plugins like this being $200.
Mm.
Because if they would read about what the plugin actually does and how much work goes in under the hood to do any sort of AI styled plugin like this,
Hmm.
versus what you would have to do in real life, that $200, I'll pay that over and over again. See that you gotta understand what you're buying and what you're going to use it for, instead of because it's really hard. Like summer sale just happened. Like, oh my god, plugins. Oh, what do I buy first? What do you need? And then forget about everything else. So a plugin like this, in my personal opinion, for most people, it would be a waste of money until their mixes are already at an acceptable level where this plugin can push the last 5 to 7, 10%. That's my opinion.
Absolutely. Just before,
and by the time when you buy that plugin and you're at that level, you probably already have clients. So $200 is not the biggest of deals.
yeah,
I mean,
it's an operating cost for a business. It's like how much money do we pay for things that give us the competitive edge over the next person, and that's factored into the price of what we do. It's just a universal truth in any industry. Yeah. Anyway,
Sorry.
yeah, it's fine. One quick question before we move on. Yanto Aldama says, would you sell the Ultimate Reaper guide on Udemy? No, because we sell it through Pro Mix Academy. Moving on.
Yeah.
When you sell a course with a set of people, you can't just stick it on another place. That's at the very least considered bad form.
Well, that's one way to say it.
Yeah.
In other words, you're being a cunt.
Well, that is pretty much it. Yeah. Long and short of it. I'm gonna crack another beer, and we're gonna.
Yeah, I got 2 here now. Yeah. So tell me about this. This is your wheelhouse here. I'm actually a software guy. You are a hardware guy. So please tell me more about what Amplitube is trying to do here.
Yeah, I'm not really sure actually, but this is this week's news. This is the X-Gear pedals from Amplitube from IK Multimedia. So this is a pedal of a set of emulations of a set of pedals.
Oh my god. I can't believe it's not butter, Adam.
I know, tell me about it. It seems that most of the companies now have some sort of hardware form factor pedal that does the things that a lot of their software does, but you can take it out on tour. And I suppose that's the selling point, right? Is you can take these and you can go to the rehearsal room and go and play live and not have to worry. I mean, people have been getting on pretty well with stuff like those old Line 6 DL4, the delay pedal, for so long. I mean, there must be something to this, right?
I mean, hold on. If I understood what you just said correctly, these are emulations of hardware stomp boxes that are emulating the said stomp box.
Yeah, I mean, I'm being a little bit trite with that. I'm kind of overselling it because I genuinely don't know how good these things sound. But I mean, it's there.
Stop here. It's the X Space, X Time, X5, and what is that? X Drive.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's stomp boxes that it's kind of like the Line 6 M5 and M9 and M13 or like Boss's multi-effects, honestly, but just parted out into like these look at almost the exact same size as Strymon's reverb and delay units, and then there's a drive one which nobody's gonna buy.
I mean, they do look gigantic if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I mean, like look here's the Grindstein.
Yeah, so it's probably a third as wide again, same height.
It's gigantic.
Yeah.
I mean, people right now are wanting to downsize to the narrow, small.
No, that's gone. That's gone, mate.
Streamers.
Have you been
serious?
Have you been on pedal boards of doom on Facebook recently? The in thing now is to have just the most big, ridiculous, overblown
so dumb
pedal board. Yeah, it's a compensation.
Look, that's like
device.
a drummer. Yeah, that's like a drummer who's got a 15-piece kit until he plays 1 gig. Then that 15-piece kit becomes a 9-piece real fast.
I know those drummers though. I've been at the gig where it's the guy with like half the stage taken up by his kit, and you just look at him and go, "You're a cock. You're a dick." Yeah.
What a cock. Guys, my pedal board is 98 pounds.
Yeah. But like I was saying, companies like Strymon make the Timeline, which is one of the arguable the best delay pedals on the market, and They are that size. Which means that there's a lot of controls you can bend over and faff around with in the middle of the show so people see the bald spot on your head instead of you actually playing guitar. I'm hoping that these things
I got
have
a big bald spot.
Yeah, I'm hoping these things have MIDI control, so at the very least they can sit like at the back of your board and be remotely switched. Like I've got this pretty funky little pedal. This is the Futurist from Matthews Effects, and this is a 4-button MIDI controller. It's tiny, and it means that you can have all your different pedals like these. But say you've got different delay sounds or different reverb sounds and stuff. You can just switch them, but you put these pedals then just at the back of the board, so you don't need to reach over and you just kind of go next preset, click.
Is there an I/O screenshot of the pedal?
Oh, the pedal. No, these were only announced a couple of days ago, so I'm not seeing it because these were announced for Summer NAMM. Summer NAMM, of course.
Super.
Oh, there we go. See if I can just load this up.
I mean, it would just be.
There we go,
It
MIDI.
would be.
I
Yeah,
saw
there's
MIDI.
MIDI.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, me too. It would just be like, what the hell are you thinking in 2021 if you didn't have MIDI?
Yeah, that's
Because that also means that a guy with a keyboard can take advantage of it. So it's not just a guitar player thing.
yeah. But the
Okay,
other
that's making more sense.
the other
making more
fashion trend that has been in the pedal board world is having a switcher that's got just like a loop switcher but that's also got MIDI in it. I don't know if you've seen any of those, like the Gig Rig G3 or the Boss MS3 or.
I mean, I feel like a fish out of water in a lot of this stuff because I'm so simple in how I approach this.
Oh,
listen, I'm 36 years old. I have a phone where I talk to people on it, and that's all I use my phone for.
Dun, dun, dun. It's about the only thing I don't use my phone for.
Isn't that fun? It's fascinating. I'm a super meat and potatoes kind of guitarist. But that would probably change if I ever got the ability to experiment and see what these things do. I mean, I've heard a lot of great musicians who take these pedals and just create ridiculous compositions with loopers and delay and all that stuff, and they create amazing things. I mean, it's obvious, but personally, I'm just a pretty standard rhythm guitar player.
I mean, yeah.
With a beard.
So, yeah, these things, so these are going to be €299 each. It's a little much.
That's pretty fair, actually.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty fair. I paid more for the grindstone.
Yeah, the one thing that justifies the price is apparently these are not made in China. These are made in Italy. So these are all...
There you go.
Yeah, they're all actually made by people that we can drive over and slap them if it's wrong.
Well, you especially want to slap the Italians right now, don't you?
I'm not actually that bothered. But yeah, that's the other thing that's happened recently, and oh dear.
I mean, I didn't watch the games. For me, football is kind of a silly. I just like to watch the replays where the guys jump into the air as if they've been kicked in the back, but the replay shows there was no contact for like a meter. I love watching those replays. Those are hilarious. What do we got going on in chat? It's a bit difficult actually because chat's a solid 2 minutes behind.
Yeah, but a lot of good
minutes,
questions come in that, as long as people aren't trying to respond exactly to a sentence that we say without giving any context, then it's okay. The worst thing people can do in
actually
chat
from Andre. You can take this one, I think.
Why
not plug? Yeah, go ahead.
Why not plug in your guitar to Reaper? Use any plugin you like and run it to a good amp. Because in a live situation, at least, that's more complicated than it sounds. Firstly, you need a really good DI box, which is quite a bit of money. Then you need a really good interface that does incredibly low latency, which is good money. You then need to take a laptop to a gig, which is already a bad idea. Then you need a reamp box to send a clean, noiseless signal out that's the right impedance to the amp. And by the time you've done all that, you just look at it and you go, why did I bother? Screw this.
Here's the other thing though. The tactile function of I need to turn my delay off. Boop. You would still be using some kind of a MIDI footboard to some degree to control the DAW now.
Yeah, right.
So I mean, there's
especially
still
for-
going to be
Yeah, especially for a touring guitarist playing live shows. Live, you don't want that hassle. Live, unless you've got a big arena stage and you've got a tech who can handle that for you whilst you perform. No, just don't.
so you're not Metallica, so don't bother.
Yeah, the last tour that Rush did, I know that Alex Lifeson had 2 Macs running Logic with all sorts of plugins in his rig, as well as his amps and everything. That was super cool, but he had a tech there who was able to man the system, and his budget was also like limitless because it's Alex Lifeson from
Sure.
Rush.
Right.
So that's the other thing. He could afford to have like 2 of the best MacBooks with 2 of the like multi-$1,000 best interfaces, with all the switching that integrated that into the rig. And yeah, you can do that with a lot less money, but by the time you've done it, and trust me, I've done it. I did it because I could. And I finished that show and went, not doing that again.
So what do you think the sample buffer size would have to be for a live show? Would you be like 16?
No, it doesn't need to be quite that bad, but it needs to be not USB, basically.
Okay.
It needs to
Right,
be either
right.
Thunderbolt or maybe Firewire, but that's so out of date. It needs to be Thunderbolt and probably 64 or 128 samples. Because
Okay.
then you get a 2 millisecond round trip, and a 2 millisecond round trip is not a problem live. Sounds
Yeah.
like it might be, but trust me, it's not. Because if you
Oh, dude,
if you
it's
stand more than
so-
6 feet
yeah.
away from your guitar amp, you've got a 3 millisecond delay anyway. Because the speed of
That's-
sound in air.
Been watching and realize this is. Oh yeah, it's all live. Adam is all about doing the live shows. It's only his OnlyFans that doesn't have live video, which is a shame.
That's all pre-recorded. But yeah, I mean, it's funny. I was a touring musician for a long time, and I realized that some of the situations you can be in live, especially when you're not doing it like every once in a few months and doing it as a piece of fun. When you do it for a job, you need to turn up. You need to turn the gear on and go, and just have it reliable and simple. And that's because you might get there with plenty of time. You might have nothing that breaks. Or you might have a flat tire and get there with 5 minutes to spare, and then suddenly nothing works.
No.
And if
So
that
there
if the
might be
second
an argument
happens,
for
and
these
it
pedals
does
then.
happen, yeah. The main argument is like,
Oh yeah, shit, dude. Yeah.
yeah. So the main argument for these is if they sound good, if you save all your settings, you have it on your board, you turn up to the show, you click to the preset you want, and you're off.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
No more taping knobs or drawing in with Sharpies.
right.
9 o'clock position. Don't touch.
Yeah.
And then some guys like, ha 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 ha.
I used to have when I used to tour, I used to use that 2 notes La bass pedal that's in my rack back here was the only pedal I took. And
Nice.
it worked perfectly well as my bass preamp, but I had it mounted in a rack mount unit so that all the knobs were like 6 inches back, so you could not touch them.
Nice.
And the only thing that poked out the
saw-
front of the pedal was the 2 little buttons, so I could reach over with my foot and just go dink.
Nice. I saw a dude who actually used, you know what a hot glue gun is?
Yeah.
The stick of glue. He just hot glued the knobs.
Poo Ninja in chat beat you to it. He just said gluing knobs.
Yeah, just hot glue the knobs. Big old glob of hot glue, and that's it.
Problem for me is being a live guy and also running a studio. I couldn't really just do that to all my gear.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah,
But yeah.
I mean, the simplicity of me creating my guitar tones. It's like I've started to realize this is that I have such a groove and I have such a process now that it's hard for me to be creative sometimes.
Huh?
Like
Okay.
it's what I mean by that is I'm thinking always like how can I get the cleanest, most clinical, brutal guitar tone from the gate so that I don't need to do EQ and all this post processing. And then, if I have to do a lead guitar, I know how to do that too. But then I'm like, okay, what if I put chorus on here? Oh my god, I don't even have a chorus plugin. Gotta go to Material, get the free chorus plugin, right? Which is great. But I mean, like, it's like there is something to be said about these post black metal bands and all this postmodern rock that uses a lot of these pedals like this to create interesting soundscapes. Because I think there's a lot of creativity there.
Oh, I don't know what happened there for a second. We suddenly had 65 people watching at once. Wow. Hello, everybody.
Good God.
Da, da, da. But yeah, I mean,
Dun.
this stuff
Pro
is...
Tools sucks.
All right, calm down. Everybody knows Pro Tools is the industry standard, and everybody in music and post-production uses it. Amen.
Sure, yeah.
So let's move on to the next news story.
I would like to see them do field recording with Pro Tools like you can with Reaper on a USB stick.
On a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah. Continuing.
This thing has Reaper on it right now.
That's funny.
Anywho, Bitwig Studio, talking of DAWs that people want to hate on. New version 4 came out. And it's got audio.
Oh, they already got M1 support. Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
M1 support, audio comping. Guess what else has M1 support? Reaper. Yeah.
Yeah. A long time ago.
Yeah. Anyway, operators. Yeah, this has got some new stuff going. And what's this about?
Have you tried Bitwig?
I have when it was Bitwig 2, not 3 or 4.
I've never tried it. So I have no opinion. I can't say anything about it.
It's kind of cool. It's somewhere between Reaper and Ableton Live. It's kind of grid-based, but it's very flexible. It's really cool, actually.
So is it electronic musicians DAW, like Ableton?
I would say so, but you can use it not for that a lot more easily than you can with Ableton,
Okay.
I think. I had a good question in the chat, which is, what's this about? Was late to the stream. So now's probably a good time to do a quick recap. This is the Hop Poll Podcast. This is our weekly podcast where we talk about the week's news, music tech news, what we've been up to, and we take questions from the chat at the end. And this week I've got a special guest, Scott Elliott from Chernobyl Studios.
What's up, dudes? Just don't mind me. I'm pounding beers because it's 30 degrees at 10 o'clock at night.
Woo. So yeah, Bitwig, audio comping is now enabled, which is something that we use in other DAWs where you can pick little bits of takes and choose and choose and choose and choose.
Holy balls. I mean, I'm sorry. That functionality has existed for a long time. Okay, whatever. I mean, these new DAWs, people don't understand how hard it is to do the DAW. So the fact that, I'm sorry, that Reaper can legitimately do beat detective, it can do slip editing, it can do comping, all out of the box. It sort of makes like when FL Studio comes out saying, we can do this now. It's like, oh, welcome to the 21st century where 10 years ago we could do this in every other DAW. That's great. You're still behind.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's bizarre. One nice feature here. Intel and ARM VSTs on Mac can live next to each other in the same project on the M1 Macs. That's cool. Because Logic, as far as I know, if you're on the M1 version of Logic, you can only use the M1 ARM plugins, which excludes a lot of manufacturers who haven't caught up yet. Or if you use the old Intel version, it has to basically kind of translate on the fly, and the performance is really bad. Because
question for you, Adam. Tech question.
Go on.
So when they type here, furthermore, Intel and ARM VSTs, is that a wrapper? Is that something like AAX? Does this mean like if you have a Windows PC and you have all these licenses for VSTs and you decide to get an M1 Mac, are you up shit creek without a paddle?
Yeah, pretty much. Not exactly, but yeah. So the VST, when you program a plugin, you have to kind of make sure that is compiled to work on Intel chips or ARM chips or whatever. So it's not an operating system thing. It's an actual the processor does it work with type thing. And so the new M1 Macs, they are based on ARM. And all the old Macs for the last 10 years are all Intel-based. Even if it's an
Right.
AMD chip,
remember.
it's an Intel design,
Mm-hmm.
right? The VSTs, of course, that when you build a VST, you have to specify whether that file, that VST, is designed and compiled to work on this chip or that chip. And
God.
it will only work on one. But there is like a translation layer that Apple have made. So if you got anything that is Intel only, it does kind of translate it on the fly to... It's literally like a language translator that translates it to ARM so that the processor can understand it and isn't just looking at it going, okay.
Is that real time, you said?
Yeah.
So is that going to be inbuilt latency?
Well, it's not latency. It's a CPU performance penalty, though.
Oh, Christ.
But
What's the point of doing the new ARM? Because the last I heard you speak about it, you weren't too terribly impressed.
oh no, I just said it wasn't ready yet. It's really, really good stuff, and I'm really, really kind of excited about the new Mac stuff. But it's not ready yet because it's new technology, and there's only one generation that use this entire like design. So not every manufacturer that makes the software is caught up yet, and that's a problem.
I just find it fascinating. Like the Mac just wants to. It's like Pro Tools. We're just going to self-segregate. If you want to use that plugin, it has to be AAX, and if it's VST, get fucked. It's like, thanks.
Yeah.
Now here we are with Mac. It's like, yeah, M1, and you can't use any of your plugins with it. So.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you can use all the plugins if you only use, like I was saying, apart from Bitwig, which has this funky new feature. If you've got a new ARM Mac, you have to run the Intel version of the program, and for it to translate on the fly. And it's like instead of it being like pre-written in the right language, it's written in the wrong language, and it has to be translated on the go, which means there's a massive penalty in terms of processor time.
I think you're right, but it's going to take a couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. That's the crux of what I was trying to say, is that like they're really I am really excited for the new Apple processors, because compared to anything we've had for the past 10 years, 15, 20 years, they are stupid powerful. Like, they are incredibly powerful. Then they're just about as fast as the fastest AMD Ryzen processor there is. But they use about 20% of the power.
Yeah, AMD has always been heat and power hogs.
Yeah, you say that, but the Intel CPU that matches the AMD one at the moment actually uses more heat. That's right now.
This is going to be interesting. I mean, by the way, we're both AMD guys. We both have AMD chips in our PCs.
Yeah, right now. Yeah, sure. I'm not exactly one or the other. I never have been.
I mean, like this what is AMD is doing now. It seems to be slapping Intel around pretty mightily. So, what do you think the end game really is with the M1? Is it to carve out their own? It's like, hey, we got Logic, we've got M1, we've got our own ecosystem. Nah. I mean,
no, I don't think so. I think it is just, we are done with Intel. We can make something better that uses less power. So we're going to just do it ourselves, and we don't have to pay a license for royalties. So screw you.
I don't know.
Fair enough. Because ARM, the company, is actually a completely open source company. It's not that hard to write programs for ARM architecture. It just happens
interesting.
It just happens that because every major desktop manufacturer has had to code for Intel for 20 years, they're all being caught short, and they're all like, oh crap, right, okay. Whereas, yeah, every modern phone, and all the iPads and all those kind of things, they all use ARM chips. So anybody who's been making apps specifically for phones and tablets especially already has the grounding. They already kind of know what they're doing.
Interesting.
Which is why actually a lot of the companies that make things like Nembrini Audio is a good example. They make
Yeah.
they
A
make
bunch of phone. Yeah.
yeah, but they make iPhone and iPad versions of their amp
Yep.
models.
Yep.
Which means that when M1 Max come around, they're just like, okay, compile for the thing we already did, but for M1 instead of phone, click.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, so it's just a case of
Nembrini Audio are awesome.
it's just a case of the major manufacturers having to scramble and just and there you go. It means trouble for bigger companies that have got all this really what I would call spaghetti code.
What do you mean code that they've had in their program since 1996?
Right, exactly. Where they've not kept up to date and been forward thinking and kept it agile. It does come back to Pro Tools versus Reaper, I know, but it's just a really good.
But listen, guys, Reaper compiles every week, guy.
I know.
It's true though. I mean, like it's a meme. It really is a meme because it's like every time like that meme like Urim Academy always shows that meme like if you use Reaper you can't shut up and not say that you don't use Reaper. You know what I mean? Like everyone knows a Reaper user because they always tell you they use Reaper. But it's funny though. It's true. Like every time there'll be times like I don't use Reaper for 2 weeks and I've missed 2 versions.
It's funny because
like,
it's true.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like shit. Need to update again.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I sometimes go 2 or maybe even 3 weeks without updating Reaper, and then it's like, whoa, all the updates.
Yeah, what's happened here?
Yeah, the new update when you do an export, it shows you all the LUFS values as you
Yes,
export. Yeah.
yes, it does. I noticed that.
That
yeah.
was awesome. And you
I'm
can
like, oh, this is
actually
pretty sweet.
you can right click on the master VU meter and change the peak output to LUFS output, so you can know on the fly
I'm gonna
how
do
loud
that.
it is. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So
That's cool. I was just using Flatline to see where I was, which is a fucking amazing plugin, by the way.
oh yeah, I really like Flatline. Although actually,
I'm like,
I didn't use it on this latest mix. I used the Brainworks True Peak limiter, which is also good.
there you go.
I've got a few different master limiters that I use depending on what genre I'm working with because they all do have a certain sound.
Dude, the Flatline surprised me. I know we're off topic from Bitwig here, but the Flatline was really surprising to me because I'm so used to mixing into the Ozone thing where, okay, once I pull this down, I'm going to lose my snare drum and my kick drum a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I get the Flatline, I pull it down, I'm like, the snare and kick got louder. And if I turn it down in the mix, nothing changes. So I need to go back and rebalance this right now. I found that quite interesting. I don't know how it's working, but yeah, it's really funny. But maybe we should try and get a hold of Bitwig and see if we could figure something out. Just out of
maybe.
Complete curiosity. I mean, like I would like to try Bitwig. Oh, there's another one.
Ooh, here's an extra thing before we move on from Bitwig. Apparently, you can now import your data from FL Studio and from Ableton Live project files. So if they really want you to come in, then they're like, "Hey, you can open your old projects. Come in." Yeah.
Fruity Loops. Who the hell would you? I mean, like,
I know. Anyway, let's move on to something that's more your kind of speed. EVH 5150.
Red light, green light.
5150.
Oh, really, dude?
There's a new 5150 coming out, and it's apparently cheaper. And it's an 80 watt amp instead of a 120 watt amp.
Oh, wait for it to get on your fucking reverb.com and Fluff will do a video about it.
Fluff was posting about these the second they were announced.
I know.
They're very
He's hilarious,
second.
by the way.
Yeah.
His ridiculous reverb listings videos are awesome. You need to watch those. The 5150. I mean, so is this based on the El Original block letter, or is this modern voice?
It
looks like it reminds me of the I forget what that one was called, but it was a free amp sim a long time ago. The 7170 or the 7.
Oh yeah, Nick Crow was that?
Yes, Nick Crow. It reminds me of how it looks. That's the one it reminds me of. remember the 8580, if that's what it was called. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
funny
mean,
that you remember that.
well, I did a video a few years back comparing pretty much every hardware and software 5150 I could find, and they were all so different. People's interpretations of what 5150 should sound like were just miles apart. But yeah, I mean,
7170, that's what it's called.
This thing strikes me as interesting. It's got 2 preamp tubes, where the Mark 1, which I have up here, has 5 preamp tubes. So what have they done? That's the question.
The tube gain, 6L6s, I'm sure, are in that thing.
Yeah, that's right.
It's right there.
It's four 6L6s, which is standard. That's what was in the Mark 1. This was designed by a guy called come on,
Eddie Van
Brain.
Halen.
Brown. Is his name John Brown?
Are you serious?
I think so. I'm friends with him on Facebook. Let me find him. People Brown. James Brown, sorry. James Brown. James Brown. That's why his name always stuck in my head. But yeah, James Brown, not the singer, is a really cool amp designer. He also made the PV Triple X, which is one of my favorite amps. He made a lot of amp designs for custom as well. He's pretty cool. And so yeah, he's designed.
It looks cool as shit. It looks very modern looking. I like the font.
They've made it a lot more affordable, and you can tell by like the transformers are a lot smaller than they are on the Mark 1. I can tell you that just from looking at it, because there's a big air gap above them. But if it's only
how does it sound?
Exactly, that's the question. But if it's only an 80 watt output instead of 120, you don't need the massive transformers, which will save a lot in terms of cost, which will save a lot of your money, because nobody ever runs a 5150 that loud, because you will die. Like, when I'm reamping into one of the captors, I might sometimes have the volume on a 5150 at 3. In real life...
Oh, you're getting adventurous.
Yeah, right? But in real life, I will never turn one above 2, because, oh my god. It's so loud. So if they've worked out a way where it's like, well, all that extra headroom, let's just not. Because nobody's going to use it. And it's like, hey, fine.
So are these combo amps then?
Those are combo amps. This is a separate...
Yeah.
There's a head and 4x12 option.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay.
And there is also this, which has a two power tube output, and it's 40 watt.
These
amp.
look funny.
Yeah.
These look hilarious. These look like 1980s athletic bags with that font like that. So, okay, hold on. Wait a second. So these are the cab.
Yeah.
Are these? Oh, Celestians right there.
Celestian
okay,
EVH.
EVH like
I don't know if
that.
those are the Heritage EVH, because the Heritage EVH was literally, and I mean right down to the microscope, a Heritage G12M 75 20 watt version, which is just a greenback. It's just a greenback. Eddie liked greenbacks, so they're greenbacks. But because it's
a nice high-end presence to them.
Yeah, actually, the EVH ones have more of a rolled-off top.
That's interesting.
The classic Heritage greenbacks are not that fizzy on the top. But then this amp can do top end in spades if you want it, so no problem. It can't be the Heritage EVHs, because they were made in England.
Like 400 euros?
Yeah. The speakers themselves would sell at nearly £200 each for the made in England ones, which means that you'd be looking at least €1,000 or $1,200 for a cab. That's why the Mesa oversized cabs that everybody wants are so expensive, because their speakers inside them are handmade in England.
I mean, that's saying something.
Yeah. And then actually, Celestians sell them to Mesa at trade price. And
there's a question from Poo Ninja, actually. How do the Neos compare to the standard cream backs?
Okay, so the Neos are a bit more barky in the mid-range. I like them. They've got a real kind of rah kind of thing, and they sound a lot like the cream backs. They just have a bit more of that kind of, like I say, mid-bark. and I can hold on my little finger, which is great because they're Neo, so they don't have the big heavy iron magnet hanging off the back, which is great.
I think you did actually shoot out the Neos.
I did.
Like, ago, right?
I have a
That's
6-hour video you can check.
Oh, there's that one, but I mean before that, the one that I actually was watching when I was
Yeah.
developing Guitar Mastery.
Right. Yeah, I did do a specific review video on the Neo. That's right.
Yeah, Poo Ninja, hit the video link in Adam's channel and go to like 4 years ago.
Sorry,
There's going to be a big series of him going through a bunch of the different speakers. I think the Neo's on there.
Yes. If anyone wants 6 hours of speaker videos, I got you.
This guy says I was handmade in England too.
Hopefully not in a factory.
I would have questions, Mage, because it's like somebody has good aim or something. I don't know.
Moving on.
Next.
Next, Rhodes is back and could have a new piano on the way. I thought this was super
What did he
cool.
do?
I thought this was really cool, actually. Have you not heard of the Fender Rhodes before, the keyboard?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
I love the sound of a Fender Rhodes, but they obviously, Fender are not making them anymore, so the name's been picked up by Rhodes Music Group Limited in the UK. And so, yeah, there's a rumor going around. I mean, call it a rumor because, of course, this is all rumblings, but why would you make a company with this in the name if you weren't going to do the thing?
Are people still using instruments like that, though? I mean...
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, like, I know obviously I'm not going to listen to a death metal band and they're going to have a Rhodes piano plunking away.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I guess perhaps in the jazz and the...
This is the equivalent
classic
of
rock.
This is the equivalent of a guitarist having a second guitar that's like a $3,000 guitar because they can. And you say, why would you do that? And then you go, oh, I know that guy. I know 10 of that guy. It's like, this is the keyboard player equivalent, where this is just like you walk into a studio that's got one of these and you're like, yeah, I'm in.
I'm not leaving this place.
Yeah, if I had one of these and if I had a Hammond organ with a Leslie speaker, I would be very happy. I would spend a lot more time in the studio. And I'm not a great keyboard player, but I'd just be like...
You're going to play the Doors. I was going to say, Riders on the Storm.
That's why I was just kind of
I know.
It's like, that's, yeah.
That's right. Thanks, Mom. Did something for me.
But yeah, the
good
Rhodes...
song. Legitimately good song, though.
Yeah, if you go to rhodespiano.com, then they have their website there. Let's move on. Teenage Engineering's OP1, which is one of the keyboards that I've wanted for a long time.
This reminds you've looked at this.
Probably. Teenage Engineering makes some cool stuff. They make like these little pocket calculators that actually make tone. But yeah, the OP1, I've been kind of wanting one for a while, but now they finally have USB audio streaming.
Oh, there you go.
So you can plug one in something like OBS and play it live without using a mixer, which has only taken them 243 updates. But yeah, the reason I've wanted one for a while and don't have one is then over 1,100 euros for one of these things.
Good God.
Yeah, I mean, they are incredibly powerful. They pack a big punch in what they are, but woo, that's a synth.
Wait a minute. So the updates are software.
Yes.
So you can buy the physical unit and it can be updated indefinitely.
That's right.
Oh, okay. Sweet.
Yeah, so I mean, they do some really cool stuff. Like they've got like tape warp simulators that go over the top of the synths and all sorts of weird stuff like that. So you can make really cool sounds with them. And if I remember rightly, they've got MIDI in and out as well, so you can actually play on human-sized keys, unlike these little hamster-sized keys, when you actually want to play something expressive rather than just testing the sound out.
Right.
So yeah.
Oh, so that's that. Is that like how big it is?
Yeah, they are genuinely like portable thing. It's about the size of a computer keyboard, if not a little smaller.
Not a full-size computer keyboard.
No, a little, like I said, a little smaller.
Oh, like at 80%.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So without the number pad and without the directional keys, you'd be looking at a 70% keyboard.
That sounds about right. Yeah. I mean, I
Gotcha.
as a kid, I used to have like the old Casio equivalent of this. If you remember, it was a little white brick of a bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I miss it. I don't know why I didn't keep it, but then I suppose when you're 7 years old and you don't know anything about what retro is going to be in the future, you're just like, this is junk.
Adam, in 30 years, this is going to be a genre. Whatever, future Adam, you're stupid.
Just for a
Herbie
second,
Hancock.
I was reading Poo Ninja's comment in chat. I know someone with a beautiful Leslie I'm trying to get left to me from an estate when they passed. My first thought when I read that was, you want Henning to die? It's because Henning's girlfriend is called Leslie. I was like, wait, whoa, no, you mean a Leslie speaker. So let's move on. How about this for a ridiculous guitar?
What the fuck is that?
Talking about $3,000 for an extra guitar. I'll talk more about that in a second. The Wild Customs Billy Gibbons Special. I actually like this. This is the Billy Gibbons very special custom guitar. It's somewhere between like a Bo Diddley and an Explorer, and I kind of like it. It's probably more ergonomic than it looks because of this big cut. I mean, that's an Explorer top right there. If you just cover the bottom half of this, you're looking at it going, that's kind of an Explorer, right? But it's a completely different cut to an Explorer, so it looks something kind of different. At least it's not the Gibson Starfleet badge. Come on. You remember that guitar?
The paint job is fucking me up here.
Yeah, I don't know. It's translucent charcoal. I like that kind of thing.
No, that part's cool. It's the...
You don't like the black with the purple striping?
Yeah, it's this thing happening, where you... they're accentuating, like, I can get with you with the shape. I can see that. I mean, I can see how it could probably be comfortable. But I think just a solid color probably would have... I don't know. I mean, people are going to shit on me because look at my taste in guitars. Here you go. I'm BC Rich fanboy.
You like him with 19 points? Billy Gibbons likes it with 4 points.
With 4 points.
But yeah, it's a honeycomb body, which is interesting. Honeycomb structure, so it's lightweight and resonant, which makes sense because Billy Gibbons is about 103 and probably can't carry much weight now.
Yeah.
It's a Canadian maple
light
neck.
as possible.
Yeah. Power Faro fretboard with a 10 to 16 compound radius. And the thing that I really like about this as well is it's got this system where you can pop the pickup out and just pop different ones in.
How's that possible?
It pops out the back. It's on this kind of system where without taking the strings off, you just unlock a lock at the back and just go pop, and just it's got contacts inside it, so you just drop.
Okay, that's what I was. The contact. Okay.
Yeah, so you don't need to rewire anything. It's just drop and drop. And
I mean, that's cool until that doesn't work, and then you redo it anyway.
So the guitar comes with the starter pack, which is these pickups. So it actually comes with
Like the Seymour.
Yeah. Wild Customs, Grizzly Humbucker and Jalapeno P90, plus Seymour Duncan's Pearly Gates, Red Devil, Billy Gibbons Signatures, Lipstick Tube, and Antiquity Texas Hot. Antiquity Strat.
Cool. It's an interesting. It's kind of like a futuristic looking type of.
Yeah, I like
it.
it.
At the same time, it reminds me of some design from the 50s.
Well, that's the idea. It's based on a 1934 hot-rodded Ford Coupe.
Yeah. Okay, there you go.
So yeah,
I'm ignorant. I'm very ignorant with automobiles.
Well, if you see the front of ZZ Top's Eliminator album, there's a real like old classic car in the front of there. So I'm guessing Billy's been a classic car collector forever.
Probably. And that's who I'm trying to emulate here, folks.
So before I show you the price, give me a guess.
$3,000.
Try again.
Higher or lower?
Higher.
7.
Higher.
Are you kidding me? 11.
9,999.
That's dumb. Is it because of the system
Partly.
and all the maybe not a bad idea actually. You're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pickups sets, strap, guitar. I mean, okay.
Some of Billy's beard, maybe.
I mean, okay, because I mean, like a good pickup set is already $200.
David says, "Isn't that the guitar used in the Back to the Future movies?" I mean, it
No, the guitar in the back.
It is now.
right. No, that's the big ass red. What's that? You would probably remember. It's the big red one.
Is it an ES335? Big red.
I
When you say
remember
big
what it
red
looks
one,
like.
I just think of Gibson 335s when you say big red one.
It's probably just gigantic, is what it was.
Not Billy Gibbons, but in the original Back to the Future, Michael J. Fox used the 335.
Yeah, are you talking about the dance, or are you talking about the beginning with the 30-foot speaker?
No, neither. Yeah, neither. No. In a later Back to the Future, ZZ Top were in it, and they played like country hillbillies, and they had completely like acoustic instruments that spun.
Are you talking about?
Might be Back to the Future 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that's the one I watched like once.
It was a good film.
The first one I watched a lot. The second one was my favorite. Third one I was like,
I like the third one. Anyway, that was that. So we don't need to talk about the Amplitube X-Gear because we did that. Here's one that I've been wanting to talk about all day. Boss are making the company's first ever electric guitar with a built-in synth. I think this is pretty cool. You're completely
maybe the
not
technology is getting there.
Well, here's
going to do this since the 80s.
Well, here's the thing. All the ones up till now have actually been a guitar with like a hex pickup and an output that goes to a separate synth.
You're right.
This is a guitar that has the synth inside it. And
so it's sending MIDI information from the guitar?
No.
Or it's a synth?
The literal synth is inside the guitar.
Oh boy.
So that's going to take away problems like, triggering and sensitivity and all that kind of crap because it's inside. So either the circuitry works or it doesn't. And it's got a USB jack, so you can save up to 6 presets on it that are just on a knob.
Dude, I am so behind. So wait a minute. Is it a synth guitar, or is it a guitar that can also do synth things?
The second one. It is a guitar that can do synth. Which actually isn't as stupid as it sounds, I don't think, because...
No. I mean, they've had the Synth Axe. That was 1980, whatever.
Yeah.
Fully MIDI or whatever. I just feel like the idea of a Synth Axe would be way more possible. And to commit to doing like a full MIDI instrument at this point in time.
I mean, you probably could rig it to have MIDI output, but why would you when you can have the sounds inside? I mean, here's another thing. It's possible because it has Bluetooth communication inside it, so reasonably it probably could do wireless MIDI. Because you can get one of these. This is an expression pedal that is Bluetooth. So if you've got any of the synth sounds where you want to do like pitch dives or anything, like actually blending the volume of the synth in or anything like that, then you power it off your board, you turn it on, and you can control the guitar without a cable. So it's less of a ball ache. So the guitar itself has 2 jack outputs. So much like when you've got a guitar with like a piezo system, you can either have them both come out the same jack, or you can have the 2 sounds come out separately, so you can send them to different places. And if you were a pro guitarist touring, then you might have the 2 outputs strapped to 2 wireless packs on your back. That's not that weird for guitarists who've got like piezo systems, that kind of thing. So for a lot of touring guitarists, this isn't a leap. This is just cool. I mean,
I find it interesting. Yeah.
Being able to do things like, I don't know, have a string pad that you can just blend in on a couple of sections that come out the PA system instead of out the amp because it's a second output. It means you can fire the keyboard player and still walk around.
That useless cunt.
It means you can strut around the stage doing your I'm a big guitarist to my wireless pack thing and still have guitar sounds.
I'm so like I'm a little bit weary, like with the technology sometimes. Like, yeah, Bluetooth. I'm like, that's nice, but bad grounding, bad electronics, no electricity. I mean, no electricity. You don't have a rock show. I get it, but I mean, it's just like so many.
If you can power this thing on
so
your
many
effects
factors.
board, then it's gonna work.
Right.
But in that case, you have. Oh, hello. Sorry. This has a MIDI output on the Bluetooth thing, so maybe the notes could come over the Bluetooth stream and come out there. So you could have like an extra synth that's being triggered that's doing some real crazy stuff.
Can you read music, Adam?
Vaguely.
All right, so I guess Poo Ninja is correct.
Yeah, the keyboard player is the only one who can read music. I can read music as well as I can play keyboards, so like kind of 13-year-old level.
Yeah. I just fake it. I'm like, oh, you meant the C. Yeah, of course it was the C. My finger slipped.
I can play chords and things on keyboards, but as soon as you say like, all right, play this song, I'm like, okay.
I quit.
Yeah, pretty much. I just kind of make everybody turn around and whip a guitar out and be like,
I can do it. Yeah, no problem. I mean, that's cool. I mean, we need these things to. I really like the idea of the synth X, though. I mean, even you got to think of the genius who was able to make that work in the 80s.
Oh God, yeah, that was some real. Like we've got in our studio, we've got a guitar synth setup from the mid-90s, and that is so picky. It's so finicky. It works when it wants to and not when it doesn't, and it's so just close to being cool, but not quite. And it's like And the actual board itself is super wide. It's like a meter wide, and it weighs 20 pounds. And
can't remember the name of the guitarist off the top of my head right now who used the synth X.
I don't know.
Guitarist. He died.
Not Pat Metheny.
No, I'll think of it in a minute. He was a jazz guitarist. Someone in the chat will probably know who it was, but he used the synth X in the 80s.
I don't know.
It's ridiculous.
But yeah, wasn't Aldo Meola or someone like that, was it?
No. It was. It's a white dude. I can't think of his name. He's from England.
With jazz, that doesn't narrow it down for me, unfortunately.
I'm gonna get pissed off. I'm gonna open.
But yeah, as Marty said in chat, this is 2,200 euros, so probably nearly $3,000 for one of these. For that money, the actual guitar itself had better be a damn good guitar.
Alan Holdsworth. That's
it's yeah. Holdsworth, yes. The Eurus GS1. Let's just see if I can find if there's any word here of who actually made.
So is the price because of the electronics and all the things that go with it? Because I mean, the guitar looks not very.
It looks a little pedestrian, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's hard to say because I don't know who actually made the guitar, quote unquote. Because it says Boss on it, but Boss, as far as I know, this is their first foray into building guitars. I know Roland have been doing this for years. Of course, they're technically the same company. But depending on who made this guitar and whether it's actually any good, we might see the dawn of the next equivalent of what I call the Variax conversion scene. Because the Line 6 Variaxes were actually really cool when you got into it, but they played like a dog. I had, for a long time, a 5-string Variax bass, and what it could do was incredible, but the neck was like a banana. It was never stable, and it was about an inch thick, and it just played really badly. But there were a whole scene of people buying them just to destroy them and take the electronics out and put them in a nice custom built, really nice instrument. And
There's that, yeah.
So this could be the start of that kind of thing. I mean, if they decide to make a cheaper version, that's exactly what's going to happen. So, yeah. The onboard synth engine runs from 4 AA batteries, which as long as you keep a charge with you and spare batteries, that's no problem.
Should be all right, yeah.
Yeah. At least it's not some proprietary battery pack or something stupid, which means that, years from now it should still work.
Did it say what the pickups are?
The pickups? What, for the synth stuff?
I mean, yeah.
They'll be on the bridge. They're probably something like Graphtec Ghost saddles.
Gotcha. So the vibration.
Yeah, it's picked up through the separate, separate, what you call them, posts on the bridge.
I mean, I just find that so fascinating because, like, you got a guitar, you got to intonate it, and all these other things just as a guitar, as an instrument that you have to worry about. And then you're gonna slap on the synth element, which has its own set of issues.
Yeah,
I just find it fascinating. I mean, if they can get it to work, great. And there are people who are going to be able to utilize it. I mean, like I said, Alan Holdsworth was like a synth X master.
Yeah, you can do it. You really can. It just, you don't have to go full Holdsworth with it, though. I think that's the thing, is you don't have to go full saxophone synth crap. You can just use it like in conjunction with the actual guitar sound to make a bigger texture. I can imagine a band like Royal Blood absolutely going crazy for something like this. Because imagine the guitar sound going through like an octaver and some other crazy stuff, and the synth sound goes through whatever the hell you want extra. You could make some massive tones with this. And in fact, if you could make a bass version of this that tracked really well, I would just save up and get one. Because, wow.
Especially if both guitarists had it, they could both do different things.
Yeah. I mean, then we're talking like a New Day version of Rush.
Sure, yeah. Instead of having to stop playing bass to play the keyboards, you could just
change
have
patch.
a guitar player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time for the bass synth. Click. Meow.
I'm just eating my midnight snack, guys. Don't mind me.
Scott's got a nice tasty sausage. So this is something that made me laugh.
You may want to reword that one, Adam.
Spicy. Smells strong from a distance.
Oh my god, that's even worse.
So, Gibson USA Placebo pedal. This is real. It literally does nothing, or does it? Because Gibson have been well known as a kind of a meme for a long time, where they make these stupid things like. But recently they've been making products that actually exist, and this really made me laugh. Like 9 out of 10 doctors agree it does nothing. And yeah, so you turn it on and nothing happens. They're
just taking the piss
massively. They made a custom like whammy for Stratocasters a while back that was just like a big. Do you remember those bendy straws?
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
So it's just like, how stupid can this be? Made by Daredevil Effects under the Gibson name, limited to a run of 100 pedals, $99, and it does
designed to do absolutely nothing.
Yep, not even a buffer, just nothing. Apparently, you can buy a $25 add-in plug-in circuit, which turns the pedal into a Color Sound one knob fuzz. But then it doesn't do nothing.
What the fuck? That's hilarious.
So yeah, I kind of want one, but they're probably sold out by now.
That's the most ridiculous thing, really. I mean,
I want one so I can use it in reamping.
It does absolutely nothing. It's $100. How many do you want? I'll take 5. All right.
Exactly. Chain them all up for for increased placebo effect.
I mean, just by the nature of electronics, it has to do something.
No,
There has to be some kind of.
It can
It
just-
can't be 100% transparent, clean.
it can pass the signal through no components at all.
What?
And the dosage and side effects knobs
Geniuses.
can be connected to just traces that go nowhere.
Side effect?
I mean,
dosage.
maybe there could be like some sonic bleed from the LED over the traces or something, but I mean, it does nothing.
You know what this pedal? You know what this pedal would be really good for? It'd
Nothing.
be good for guys like Glenn Fricker who are trying to do a shootout video of which amp is better.
Yeah.
And then it's like all the same amp, but everyone's gonna be like, dude, the third amp is totally better, man. With whatever pedal engaged. That stuff that would be fascinating.
So, I've missed it. Coming this Monday, July 12th. That's the thing about
Oh, it's gone already. Yeah,
doing
yeah.
weekly news, unfortunately. That yeah,
Yeah, that was 2 days ago, unfortunately, sir. 3 days ago.
indeed.
3, 4, 5, yeah.
If that's
15,
not gone
yeah.
by now, then they're doing something wrong.
That's absolutely asinine. Why people would even buy that?
It's hilarious.
Probably just for that factor alone. Like, look what I bought for $100.
I'll bet Josh from JHS bought one. But it's funny that like a lot of the time on the JHS channel, they'll do a shootout between two pedals. I can imagine them doing a shootout between an actual pedal and this instead of just turning the pedal off.
That's what I mean. People are gonna fight to the death that whatever the other pedal is, what doesn't exist in the chain, is better. Because I hear it. Adam.
Yeah, some people just want to have opinions and then they must fight over those opinions and they'll die on that hill because they have nothing else in their lives.
Well, you do understand that Pro Tools is the industry standard.
And after that awkward silence, let's move into Behringer Corner. It's Behringer Corner. So, leaked firmware claims to turn plats into brains. If that was the truth, then Midwest America would be full of smarty pants.
Fuck off. I'm from Wisconsin.
I know. Yeah, but you don't have any plats up top. You've only got them. You could plait your beard, but but yes, there is an open source synth module called the plats, and Behringer have kind of just stolen it. Although it is open source, so technically they've not stolen it. Technically, and they've made a module called the Brains, which has a pretty funky little screen on it and a USB and some other features that honestly the plats didn't have. But someone has managed to hack the firmware from the Brains that has been leaked and uploaded it onto the plats, and it works.
Oh boy.
Which kind of proves that they really did just rip it off. There's apparently a couple of extra oscillator modes. There is extra stuff on there that wasn't on the original version. But yeah, typical Behringer being very, very cheeky and kind of taking the mick. So yeah, the Brains is €149 for that rack, but yeah.
Terrible.
The Cat Goes Raw says it does say a lot, though, that someone who has joined audio 2 years ago can write an essay on complaints about Pro Tools.
He's saying that it's fascinating that even though he's only been doing audio for 2 years, that he has so many complaints himself.
Got you. I was going to say, if that was kind of supposing that either of us two... No, that made no sense, but yeah, I get you.
No. Awkward random hiss and clicks. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my experience with Pro Tools was I became certified, and this was in 2014. And I remember we spent a day trying to get the latency fixed. And I remember looking at the guy going, I just opened Cakewalk and it works.
Yeah, I had similar experiences when I did a 4-year university course where they had Pro Tools and they had the latest at the time version of Cubase. And I'm fully Steinberg accredited. Like I have
Nice.
a qualification to use Cubase. It means nothing. But the fact
Right.
is that Cubase wasn't able to do things, and then I went in Reaper and it did the things, and I was like, right, sold. Moving on.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, like I can't say that Reaper's a terrible DAW because that would just be talking out of my ass.
Mm.
Can't do it.
Even Pro Tools isn't a terrible DAW. That's the thing, is anyone who thinks that I hate it is just trying to back themselves into a corner and fight their own argument, which was never put to them. Like there are issues with it, and there are reasons why I don't like it and don't use it, but that doesn't mean that it's invalid for anybody else.
No, but I mean, we touched on this a little bit too. Is that something that Pro Tools and Cubase and Cakewalk all have to struggle with? Is code that has been in their program since 1996.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's just the nature. And unless you just completely refactor it from zero, it's always going to be a problem.
Yeah.
I actually don't know how the Reaper guys managed to not run into that situation. Actually.
I can tell you. Documentation. And making sure that everything that they make is code that is open and clear and compilable for the most modern compilers. And if they decide to make a new version of Reaper and some of the code isn't good, they rewrite it. They don't just.
You mean good for the compiler?
Right. Yeah. So if they move on from say Reaper 6 to Reaper 7. And computers have moved on at that point, and the new compilers won't work with the old code. They won't just wrap it in something that makes it work and kludge it. They'll redo it. They'll be like, I know it takes us longer, but I don't care.
Fanboy Holy War.
Yeah. But I mean, that's why any version of Reaper that I've used in the last 5 years will work on pretty much any platform that I use it on. Because the same code base is just clean and clear, and just it will compile for different things. I mean, there is a special Reaper like beta testing area where they occasionally do things like you can actually compile the Reaper code in different compilers, and they will occasionally test the different compilers and see which one's fastest, which one's cleanest, which one's most stable.
Interesting.
I bet companies like Avid don't do that because they're just like so corporate at this point that it's like, well, keep it working and don't ask questions and thanks for working for Avid.
I mean, like I say, when you sell Winamp for a couple $100 million,
yeah,
I mean, it does allow you a little bit of freedom.
Absolutely. I mean, the other thing for Avid is the video software. Is it Media Composer? Is that the name of it?
I don't know.
Because I always just call it Avid, the video editing software.
Yeah.
The two have to be interchangeable, really. And that means that it's going to be a mountain of a task completely rewriting Pro Tools to still be compatible with Media Composer. Because, oh boy. So.
Yep. Yeah, there's that.
Yeah, the guys at
Cubase has the same things too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, there are issues that like Nuendo also has the same issues because there has to be cross compatibility there too. And although Nuendo I've always seen as Cubase Plus, you know, it's kind of
it is pretty legit. Yeah.
Yeah, they have extra features in there which they wall off from the peasants that only need Cubase.
The peasants of Cubase Pro 11.
Exactly. It's I say that in all jest, but Nuendo is so much more expensive. And at university, I genuinely use Nuendo to mix on because if you're only using mixing features, it's the same. It's only when you get into wanting to like mix in 12.7.4 audio and crazy stuff that suddenly Nuendo works and Cubase doesn't. And yeah.
Oh, I like voiceover's comment.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You got to read it like this. You got to be like this, Adam. Yeah, can I take a Pro Tools on a memory stick to a friend's house and will it refund on the PCA and refund it like that? Well, huh? That's how you got to read it.
I can't even do that sound in jest. It hurts.
You got to have an American accent, sir.
Even if I do.
The best version of English.
Oh no, there are English accents that would work. Like, can I take Pro Tools on a memory stick to a friend's house? It's like, that just made the roof of my mouth.
We're just joking here, guys. We are friends, actually.
Absolutely.
I mean, Adam will never admit that the Americans improved the English language, but that's okay. That is okay. We can still be friends.
They improved the English language by removing themselves from it. Now everything's spoken in American. That's fine.
Can you? I mean, I can sense the passive aggressive jealousness that you have. I can just sense it.
See, you have jealousness.
It's not my
I have
fault.
jealousy.
It's not my fault. You know that a couple hundred years ago we were like, "Hey, fuck you and the Queen. We're out of here." And you're like, "Hey, we didn't give you permission to leave." And then there was like a little bit of a bar fight. You know. Not my
Potato,
fault.
potato, tomato, tomato. Freedom, ungrateful colonials.
Ungrateful.
So, moving on with Berenger
Truth be
Corner
told, though, American English is the superior variant.
of American. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not even trying with this. It's natural. But you know what we hate more than the
It's
Americans? The Germans. So, Berenger, it's your time. So, the Roland 303, as this should probably be known, the Behringer TD3, is now the MO version, modded out. So, this has extra features. So, it's the TD3, but with more stuff. The Devilfish mods. So, it's got better control of the envelopes, including the ability to drone and see the ins and outs.
I mean, who is this for?
This is for synth nerds. This is for proper, like, it's the classic acid bass thing. I like the 303. It's kind of an iconic piece of synth hardware, really. It's got, yeah, that kind of acid house sound. That's my description of it. Does that fit into your American English vernacular, sir?
Cool, we got voiceover here starting to talk some shit. I have to ask Alcusic to ban him for disrespecting. I'm kidding.
Be nice to our guest. Our little friend here is only here for the evening.
Little.
We've seen your sausage.
You have, and you were very impressed with it.
Everybody's seen it on stream, buddy.
Solder? How am I saying solder incorrectly too? I mean, I know aluminum. I get that one. That's a fair point. But solder?
To be fair, no, you're saying that right. I don't know where it is.
How do Americans say it?
Is it West Coast people that call it solder?
Ah, solder.
Yeah, there's a lot of discussion about solder versus solder. It's not got a 2 Ds, it's got an L in there. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Thanks. The argument has been made clear for me.
Well, that's to anyone who is in any doubt.
I mean, I understand the aluminum thing. I get it. Aluminium. I get it.
The funny thing about that one is that both are accurate because it comes from the Latin. And Latin, it would be aluminum. So
Interesting.
The Americans have actually got this one, I think. Where the extra bit came
from
in
voiceover,
English, I don't know.
Voiceover, I think voiceover owes you a couple of gifted subs.
Oh no, he's
basically what I'm
gonna
hearing.
Be upset with me now. But yeah, I really for a while there, I was really into linguistics and the history of language and where things come from, and the aluminium one always made me have a head scratcher because it's like, well, the Americans obviously got their pronunciation of that from somewhere. And so I did a little digging, and yeah, so the Latin kind of worked.
Solder is different than solder. I mean, sawed off.
Exactly, yeah. I was going to say, yeah. It's, very different thing. But yes, Buy yourself a modded out Behringer thing or don't care. That's the end of the news.
The news is
The
over.
news.
Jesus Christ.
It's only taken us an hour and 46 to get to the end of the
Yeah,
news.
but I mean, like, you know, we talked about a couple of other things along the way. It's all good.
So
Got a good crowd here today, actually.
yeah.
Chat's popping off.
So we're gonna play a song for you now, everybody. It's record time. And
All right, so now it's time for everyone to take a pee break and just. I'm
yeah.
kidding, Adam.
But if you do take a pee break, make sure you turn the speakers up super loud so you can hear it from the bathroom and you can tell me how it sounds from the can. This song.
Oh Jesus!
This song.
Router and route.
Yeah, routing and routing. There's only routing in England.
Whoa! Wait a
apart
minute.
from routing, which is woodwork.
Explain that again. You said routing, which is what?
Routing is everything that is spelt that way, except for the woodwork where you're working on the edges of wood, which is routing.
So you would say a router.
Yes, that's right. So an internet thing is a router. I am walking along a route, and that's what the
I
internet
mean, that
box
would
does.
make sense actually because
picks
it's
different
OU.
routes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Route 66. Yeah, I don't know why we call it router. That's kind of stupid.
No, it's because of the woodwork router, but I don't know. Maybe it's something to do with American pilgrims, and they did all woodwork because all the American houses are made out of wood. So then the new thing comes along 100 years later, and they call it the thing they call the wood because that's what all they know, and that makes makes sense. I mean, they're wrong, but it makes sense.
I mean, superior roadways, superior infrastructure, superior, government. Continuing on. So let's hear this song of yours, Mr. Steele.
Superior roads, corners. We have corners. So this song is from the live streams we've been doing every Monday, if you've not been keeping up with the live streams. And this is a song where we completely remixed it from almost a decade ago. We recorded this. And so we mixed it again in the total of 5 hours. Plus tiny little bits where I've been picking at it. I sent it to Scott a few days back. And I now use
yesterday, a few days back. Jesus Christ. Dude, here's the story. He sends me this mix. I listened to it. I'm like, this sounds really fucking good. I said one thing about a cymbal. He's like, oh, yeah. It does kind of stick out. Next thing I know, there's been 5 versions since when I heard it last night. There. That's the true story.
That's how my brain works.
Hollywood story.
Yeah, I mean, quite often if I'm working on like an album for a band, I will get up to mix 19 or 20 of the first song before I'm happy. Like happy.
Sure.
And then, but then when I'm happy, it's probably 2 or 3 mixes for the other songs. It's just finding that groove,
Yeah, fair enough. Absolutely.
So yeah, like I was saying, this has got the Master Gullfoss on it that came out this week. So it just adds a little extra fairy dust. I even changed the arrangement on this. There was a big section in the middle 8 that kind of dropped out and went dooba 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 with some toms. But it didn't do anything else. So you just sat there for 30 seconds going, is this it? Jesus Christ. So we just dropped it. So anyway, without any more chatting from me, this is meant to be by Mayseto, as it says down there. Let me know what you think in the chat. Press the buttons.
Taking my attention with your hopes and dreams that were intended. Close your blinds, now you're on your road home. Your excuses of losing interest. Remember when we used to feel so free? Following our dreams, friends of friends ignited too. So true. We'll waiting for our time, but everything that's meant to be won't be. It's just so sad to see. Everything
Meant to Be by Mayseto. Sorry about the technical issues there. Scott back yet? Still on mute. Thank you very much. Oh, there we go. I'll unmute you now because, yeah, I found out where the technical issue was coming from. That the song was playing. It was coming through my headphones and then going back out the output again. So, oh, boy. So that is now fixed.
Yeah, good shit. No, great song, man. Really well done.
Thank you very much. But yeah, that is proof positive, if any is needed, that using Reaper does not sound different or worse than Pro Tools.
I love. Here's this mix, guys, and let me tell you, I did it on Reaper.
Well, it's more, let me tell you, it doesn't matter what software you use.
I know.
If I was sat in front of Pro Tools, if someone sat me down and said, here's your source material, here's the plugins you're going to need, but your DAW today is going to be spin the wheel, clack, 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 clack.
Yeah, I know. I was just trolling you a little bit.
I know, but I'm saying this for the benefit of the crowd. The skills you learn along the way, it is literally like if someone sat me down in a studio and said, right, here's the DAW we have, here's the plugins you need, here's the song, go. I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
Might take me another 20 minutes longer than usual because I've got to find the buttons I'm looking for, but otherwise, all right. Because the skill set should not be, I use this. It just so happens that I use that and so have become known for it.
Yeah.
And I think there are good reasons why it works for me better than the others, but you know what? Doesn't matter. So there you go. Reaper sponsor when. I don't think they do sponsorships. That's part of why they don't cost stupid amounts of money. I mean, honestly, yeah, part of the reason that it's so low is they don't advertise, they don't do marketing, they don't spend. Like, I was at NAMM, not this year, obviously, for big reasons, but last year, and Avid had a booth that must have cost at least $2 million by the time that the space on the floor and the building. NAMM booths cost a lot of money, man. A small one will start you at $5 to $10,000, and we're talking like like an acre of Avid land. Plus, they paid guys like Devin Townsend to be there. They paid Andrew Sheps to be there. I stood in front of them both with my mouth open, going, "Hello." They
use Reaper. What do you use?
Exactly.
Today I use Pro Tools, but I also use Reaper.
Yeah. It's like Devin Townsend is a massive Pro Tools user. That's what he uses. And he gets incredible results. But he doesn't get incredible results because he uses Pro Tools. He gets incredible results because he's Devin freaking Townsend.
Right. Yeah, there's a difference.
Yeah, and it just so happens that somebody showed him how to use that instead of something else, and he's been doing his own production for so long now that back when he started, that was your option. That was what you did. Fine.
People have to understand, a DAW is just a tool. I mean, it's just like a shovel. You know, the shovel is not going to dig the ditch by itself. And how fast or how well the hole is dug depends on the person utilizing the shovel. Okay, I mean, so it would just be a learning curve for someone like myself or Adam to start having to use Pro Tools, but everything would still be the same because it would still be me or him utilizing the tool. However, I mean, if you're looking at things right now in 2021, going, I have $400 that I can invest in. Forget Pro Tools, get Reaper.
Yeah.
Forget Cubase, get Reaper.
Spend the money on a good interface instead.
You know,
so you get things out of your way. Yeah. I spent the first several years of my production career using incredibly poor interfaces and then using things like Cubase SX3, which I paid, I think I paid £700 for that. Or somewhere around that, which was, as a university student, that was most of my year's budget. And
how do you feel about that now?
Well, actually, it got me where I needed to be at the time. I mean, I wouldn't change a thing about what I did, but if I was given the option now in 2021 and not 2004,
Right.
then I would just throw that in the garbage and just get Reaper. Because,
Yep.
yeah, you know. In fact, truth be told, the first year I was at university, I had a cracked version of Cubase. I make no bones about it. Because
I mean, I just did a video about shit like that.
There was no option at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, now...
I did a video about stuff
yeah.
like that.
The fact that now, if I can't afford Reaper, which is $60, man, if I can't afford it, fine. It doesn't stop working. Whereas Cubase, I needed something to work on because I was doing a music production degree, for God's sake. How do they expect you to get any better if you can't work outside your allotted 1 hour a week of studio time?
Sure.
So
No, I did a video about that. I was just like everyone's done it. Everybody has at least dabbled or at least tried or installed something that is cracked or pirated or something.
Yeah, and
but
people, especially years ago, if people say like, yeah, I did that, I don't cast any shame because I did the same thing. Because we all did.
Sure.
Because like the Waves plugins that are constantly on a $30 sale right now, back in 2004.
So they were hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars when we started.
Yeah. There were no discounts then because Waves ruled the roost and there was no competition.
Yeah, they were a monopoly.
Yeah. And so if you wanted anything that wasn't just the stock, tough. You didn't get it or you found a way to get it. And because
the SSL collection was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I got the SSL collection for $300.
Right.
Now, if you wait, you can get each one individually for $29.99.
Funny, isn't it? Like I got the Waves kind of master bundle or whatever it was at the time. I think it was before Mercury bundle existed. I got their like everything bundle on a dodgy download. And it meant that I could just explore it all and go, what does this do? What does that do? What does this do? I don't like this. I'll never buy that. This is useful. I might buy that. And over the years, I've spent $1,000 plus on Waves plugins.
Absolutely. I have tons of Wave plugins that I bought.
But I would never have done that if I hadn't played with them and gone, I know which ones I want to buy.
Right.
But it's...
Because they had no demos. Everything was... Dude, like the Stone Age of working on digital music in the early 2000s and the mid 2000s. Literally the Stone Age.
And now I can get Reaper for a 60-day trial that never expires, and I can get the Slate everything for $15 a month. $15.
Yeah.
Compared to like $200-$300 for a single plugin. And when I
remember I waited for months for the Lin MB to go on sale for $70.
Right.
I waited and waited and waited and waited and waited. I love that plugin, by the way. It's a great plugin. The linear phase multiband is what I'm talking about.
Right, the Lin MB thing. Yeah.
I fucking love that plugin.
It's a good example.
That's what Sturgis goes into, by the way.
Oh, right.
He uses that on his bus anyway.
Okay.
Great plugin. Yeah, but I mean, like, I waited so long for that. I remember when the gold version of the Waves was the first time it ever went on sale for sub 200. I was like,
yeah. And then you realize now that like the main plugins in like the gold bundle were things like an EQ plugin, and it's like, come on, the stock EQ in every DAW is as good as this now. What you doing?
Yeah, Waves Q equalizer Q10.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Because the Q2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 is literally the same plugin 5 times.
Yeah, it's just with
different numbers of bands. But back in back in 1997 or 1998, that counted because those bands took up CPU cycles. So if you only needed 1 or 2 bands, you loaded up Q2 because it was more CPU light. Whereas now you look at it and you're like, I don't care. I could have 100 EQ bands and it would be like 0.2% of the CPU.
Oh man,
it's
so
not
funny.
The goalposts have moved for sure.
Well, I mean, and I should say that the expectation of quality is way higher. Because there was a time my theory is that Waves only started doing what they're doing now is because Slate Digital came out with the Everything bundle, which started to absolutely decimate them. Because once the Everything bundle came out, and there was like no argument, like, yeah, $15, you get this, and you get everything.
When it first came out, it was $25 a month, and I bit their
Still
hand off
worth
from
it.
day one.
Yeah, still worth it.
From day one, I went, right, I'm getting this. No two questions. This is great.
Yeah, and then you look at that, you go, wait a minute, I get this and this and this and this. And this was before the distressor was in there. This was before those gate plugins were in there. This was before the virtual mics were in there. All that stuff.
Yeah.
But still, you're looking at going, I get all of this for $25 a month.
Yeah. I don't know how
Right
many
now.
months I've been paying for it right now. It must be 5 years or something like that. I must have spent $700-800 on it by now. That's still
but see,
less than
the
I would
funny
have
thing
paid
about
on
it is
the plugins.
you can still do that subscription for 5 or 6 more years
Mm.
before it would have been more economical for you to just buy the plugins outright.
Yeah. And by that
So
point,
imagine
more
that.
plugins will be in that bundle.
Yeah, a decade of working and making money and doing music before it was truly economical for you to just buy the plugins outright. Because that was the hardest thing for me to like. I have the Slate bundle as well, but other than that, I'm very careful about bundles that I decide to go into. Like I've got the East-West one because there are some vocal libraries that are really cool. But the thing about the East-West one is I don't use the vocal library every month sometimes, you know. But the Slate stuff, that's on every single mix that I do. So it's
Just had another idiot comment on the video, by the way. Everyone's biting. Reaper is not for pros for mixing, period. Blah, 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 blah. Get a life.
I can see the longer the comment, the less intelligent it usually is.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well. There is kind of a disproportionate length to clever
How is it?
ratio.
How is it not for serious? Just please tell me how is the result? How is the mix that you guys just heard not 8 minutes ago? How is that not a professional result?
Right, I don't want to toot my own horn, but this is what I do for a living. I am a professional that used Reaper. Thank you. Thanks for coming to my
I
TED
also
Talk.
use. I'm working on a mix for a client right now where it was just easier for him to send me his Reaper session, and I would just mix it from there.
Yeah.
Instead of asking him to bounce everything, and then I imported it in Cubase.
And we
So
both,
I do the
we
same
both
thing
do this
too.
for a living. We're professionals.
So I can mix in Cubase, I can mix in Reaper, and other DAWs I don't want to mix in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
But-
it's that kind of. There's a lot of bitterness in some of these arguments.
Well, dude, you got to think about it. You got to think of a guy who maybe had bought the perpetual license for Pro Tools for however $1,000 it costs, and then you got a $60 DAW, which essentially crushes it performance wise. I mean, the only major downside that I could objectively speak about with Reaper is that you get 0 instruments. You cannot make a song. With Cubase Pro, you get Groove Agent, all these synth instruments, everything, and everything built in. You just install everything. You can already start making a song. With Reaper, you got to do a little bit of extra legwork. A couple synths, a couple instruments,
I'll give you
install them, and then you can get started. But that is literally the only nitpick I could probably think of.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair. But my counter argument to that is that what you save in money on Reaper
Yeah, of course.
is
yeah.
what if you didn't want the instruments that came with Cubase, and again, I've used Cubase on and off for years, I don't like the instruments that come with Cubase. I don't like Halion, I don't like Groove Agent, I don't like any of the synths that they make. They don't speak to me, they don't work for me. Why should I pay for them?
Yeah,
And
I get all that.
I don't have an option not to pay for them. That's the thing. If Cubase cost
That's the other thing too.
if Cubase cost $200 and didn't come with all that crap, I'd have a copy right now.
That I think might be the future to some degree,
Yeah.
because I think they might understand that it's the platform that people may want.
Yeah, the whole
And
thing with
and-
Reaper not coming with the instruments is it's roll your own. I like Superior Drummer. There you go. I actually like Waves Element, so I use the Waves synth. I mean, I've got plugins up the wazoo. I've got the whole Arturia bundle, and I've got Native Instruments complete. And the money I would have saved from buying Cubase Pro, I could have put towards Native Instruments Complete.
Right, of course.
Or you buy them both and you're seriously out of pocket. So,
No, I get all that. So, and there's something to be said about the guy who doesn't quote unquote want to spend his time finding free VSTs and so on and so forth. Just here's my DAW. It comes with these stock instruments. Yippee-ki-yay, here I go. There are a lot of people like that.
Yeah, and that's
They just-
perfectly fine. I have nothing against people who do that. Like, Logic's a great example for that. Logic comes with some really good instruments.
Yeah.
Lady Gaga's first album was basically just Logic stock plugins and some really good vocals. And
Well, there you go. Yeah.
amazing. I love that album. I'm completely shameless. The Monster was a great album. And she's a songwriter. She is a monster songwriter. She sent it off to be mixed, sure. But all the instruments there, like the start of Bad Romance is basically just like the Hoover trance synth with her belting over the top. But damn, she can sing, and it works because of that. And she's really good at arrangement. That Hoover synth drops out to something small, then comes back big, which is, aside from any DAW, that's arrangement 101. That's classic.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
skill.
that's
That's
something
all
you
up
do with-
here.
yeah.
She could have done that with 5 acoustic guitars and a tuba, and it would have worked. Because
Probably.
yeah, I mean, she's probably done that at some Vegas show. I don't know.
Like, okay, guys, we do a bunch of clarinets this time because I'm bored.
Yeah. Yeah, I can completely imagine it. But like the Billie Eilish album was the last one was not done in Pro Tools at all. I think that was Logic as well. Don't quote me on that. I think it was Logic that Phineas uses. It might be Cubase.
Well, I know that what's his name? Jesus, Ulrich Wild uses Logic, and he's only done things like Static X. So
Yeah.
um,
Absolutely.
there you go.
All these people who are like, oh, it's the industry standard. It's like, yeah, it was. It's slowly being eroded.
See, here's the thing: the reason why it was the industry standard is not because it was the best; it was just the first.
Yeah, it was the option. It was the option, full stop. Especially with the HD and HDX systems. Like, what, the original, all the old Pro Tools systems were all hardware based. Pro Tools LE didn't come along for the first decade of Pro Tools. It was hardware or GTFO. But computers of the time did not handle audio. I'm talking like processors in computers that were gauged in the megahertz, not gigahertz. And I'm talking double digits megahertz at that.
Well, the joke was back then it was called slow tools.
Right.
So
Because if you wanted to process anything offline with the audio suite stuff, not RTAS, audio suite, it took forever. Because like you'd be running
I'll do
it
that
on
for you.
Go on.
It took for fucking ever, guys.
Yeah, it
That's
did.
what Adam's trying to say.
I can swear, but I just choose not to. But yes, like a 60 megahertz Motorola 803, like the old Motorola Power Max. Not even the Power Max, the old Max, and then the Power Max. I mean, they were slow as hell because they were not designed for this. But the cards, the Pro Tools cards and outboard stuff made it work. And eventually that supplanted tape. It was slow, it was clunky, it was less slow and clunky than tape. Fine. That's amazing. That's great. That's industry revolutionary stuff. And at that time, I have no bad word to say about Pro Tools, but it's not 1999 anymore. It's 2021, and we've got to the point where computers now are so much more powerful, it's hilarious. I use the same computer with 3 screens to live broadcast myself whilst mixing on the same computer with no cards doing any processing, and nothing is struggling.
Yeah, it's dumb actually.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really stupid. I think I have Flatline at like 32x, and I mix live into it. No cracks, no popples or nothing. And I got Telegram open, I got Chrome open, like with 8 tabs in it. It's really dumb, actually, how strong computers are now.
Yeah, I mean it's absolutely insane how much more powerful things are. That like even the new HDX cards from Pro Tools, they have a voice limit where they can only do so much processing because they've got chips on themselves. They have a reasonable limit, and you're paying lots and lots and lots of money for stuff that tops out before the regular average home enthusiast computer will. And it's like,
Yep.
pay $5,000 for this or $2,000 for this gaming rig that also mixes. It's like, come on.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, you just build up a really souped up gaming rig, but get a pretty good audio interface, and you can do this. That's the thing about it. Thank you, Acoustic, for the shout out, by the way.
Yeah, thanks, Al. Just before I answer a quick question here, is from if someone would drop in the giveaway thing for anyone who's tuned in late. We are doing a massive giveaway right now for 50,000 subscribers.
Where are you?
Celebration. Hallelujah. I couldn't say it then. But yeah,
Hallelujah.
if you want to win a Victory V4 Kraken amp, the big pedal amp, which is amazing. Also a Zilla Cab hand signed by me. And a speaker chosen by us from our list. Chosen by you from our list of speakers that we have, etc., etc., etc. The stuff from Shure, the stuff from Two Notes. Get yourselves on that link in the chat there, and just put in some deets, and you've got a very good chance of winning something because it's not one winner takes all. It's every prize has a separate winner.
Sick.
Yeah.
So you can just go ahead and send that Zilla Cab on over.
I'll get him to send you a second one.
I would have no use for it, dude. I'm in an apartment.
You'd have a hell of a lot of medical documents turning up.
I'm sure I would, yeah. Fuck, man, I gotta get a medical documents for 20 kilo. How much was it? 45? 30 kilo?
Yeah, something like that.
Pretty silly.
One of the prizes
signed medical doc. This is the meme that's never gonna end between us. Danny Boy is like, and signed medical documents from Scott.
That could be the booby prize if you still got them. I don't know if you do, but
Probably. Probably.
get you to send that as the booby prize.
Yeah. Probably do. Acoustic, there we go,
But yeah.
just spamming that shit. That's a good moderator right there.
Yeah. So here's the question: what about the PreSonus Sphere for $10 a month? I get everything in
What
that.
is
The
that?
instruments, the effects, online storage. How does that compare to the Slate or Wave subscriptions? I don't know. PreSonus Sphere. Everybody has got a monthly bundle these days. Since Slate broke the mold and everyone went, "That's ridiculous. You're never going to sell anything." Then went, "How much are they selling?" Oh shit.
Yeah.
Even Waves have
I
got
get
a monthly
everything
thing,
in
which
that,
is-
the instruments, the effects, online storage. So what I would say is, I would look at the effect that you're getting. So you got to ask a couple questions here. What are you getting? How often are you actually using them? Are they useful to you? Are you using what you're paying for? So here's what I'm saying about, like I said, I have a monthly subscription to the East-West Quantum Leap orchestral libraries, but I can't say that I use their stuff every month. So I don't know if that subscription is worth keeping when the renewal comes. However, when it comes to Slate, every single fucking mix that I do, every single mix, everyone has Slate plugins on it.
Yep, me too.
So $15 a
Everything.
month for that, that's a hell yes. And if I make a lot of money one day and become very fucking rich, I still have the option to outright buy the plugins.
Yep.
There's
I mean,
that.
There is that, absolutely. I mean, there's little things here that I worry about, like there's cloud storage. 30 gigabytes of cloud storage. That sounds like lots.
It's not.
No, I'm in the middle of making this bass instrument library thing. And between fingers and picking, it took us 2 days, but we have 34 gigabytes of files just from 2 days of work. I would run out of this in 2 days. And it's like, oh, but then you can buy more. You can get 100 gigabytes. And it's like, no, thank you. I
Just
pay
do Dropbox, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I pay something like $6 a month, and I get 2 terabytes of storage from Dropbox, which is all cloud, and I can save all my projects in. So I'm good, mate. Cheers.
Anytime. I mean, here's the thing. Here is the best way to protect yourself from the sales and the marketing lingo. Do you actually need what is being pitched to you? Can you sit back and you can go, oh yeah, that would really help what I'm doing right now? That's the first question. If you go, I don't know, you probably don't need it. If you do need it, the second question is, how much are you actually going to use it? Are you at a point in your career where you can use the Golfos EQ and it makes sense? I wouldn't even say that I am. I probably wouldn't get that plugin. Don't feel comfortable yet. Because everything that you're doing now, every month you pay for the subscription. So how much are you going to use it? Or do you need it actually? How much are you going to use it? Those are your first two questions. And if you start realizing, like, I don't really use this stuff, or I don't really need it, or I just feel like I'm missing out, FOMO, fear of missing out, if that is the biggest reason why you're thinking about buying something, just close the page.
Yeah.
Move on.
Or absolute worst, find a free trial. Try it and then go,
sure.
Actually, no, I don't need this.
Because
I have so many expired trials.
Everything that
in
you
my
buy
iLock
has
account.
to solve a problem. Everything that you are getting has to solve a problem. It's a little bit different, like when Adam creates his Reaper course, which I watched, which is freaking fantastic. I mean, that everyone should invest in learning their software better. Doesn't matter what level that you're at. If someone put out a Cubase course, I would probably buy it and check it out, even though I used Cubase for 2 years already, because they might be doing something that might help me out. But if someone's gonna be like, dude, I got a brand new EQ plugin, I don't care. I got Crave DSP and Fab Filter. What the fuck are you gonna do that's gonna beat them? Nothing. Next. Dynamic EQ. I can use Frequency 2 and Cubase for Dynamic EQ. Jesus Christ, go away. I mean, you need to understand where you get to a point where the plugins that people are trying to sell you on, it's like, that's okay, that's fine. That's great. Like I even asked Adam one time with the smooth operator. I'm like, I got Soothe. What does the smooth operator thing do? And I just found it like, could I use it? Would it be helpful? Does it do anything that Soothe doesn't do? And really come to find out, I don't know what the fucking difference is. I don't know what Smooth would do for me, so I'm not going to buy it. Meanwhile, I am finding that I'm becoming more interested in plugins that are more advanced, like Neuron 3. I bought that. I'm very curious about how Shapeify and how these modules can help me make my mixing process faster. Because I'm already at a degree where my mixes are pretty good before they are getting into my master bus. We're at just different levels here. However, you might be like, I'm tired of my stock Reaper EQ. I want to be able to do things faster and have dynamic EQ. Well, here's Fab Filter. Here you go. There you go. Dynamic EQ, any kind of bandwidth, any type of EQ shape style. There it is. Good to go. So everything that you buy has to solve a problem that you have right now. So it'll save a lot of money doing stuff like that, because most of the marketing is just like, here's a bundle and you'll use one thing out of it. And if you think about it, you're grossly overpaying for that one thing that you're buying, but you're thinking you're getting a good deal because you get 6 or 7 plugins, 5 of which you don't even use. There you go. Everything you buy has to solve a problem. If it's a plugin, you have to be like, okay, why do I have interest in this? The marketing is cool. All right, fine. But I mean, like, are you going to use it? That's the thing. Slate, everything bundle, every fucking mix is being used.
Yeah.
Orchestral, the East-West one from then, maybe once a month. So that's pretty expensive subscription for me. Anyway, off the soapbox.
Yeah, we could talk about that for hours, but let's do a couple more questions and then close up because we've been live for 2.5 hours. My word.
Jeez, I need
So,
another beer
Yeah,
talking to
quick
you
one from
so
Logan.
long.
Say it'd be nice if you could pick your prize. That's not how competitions work, I'm afraid. Sorry, no. We have strict terms and conditions we have to abide by like competition law. That would be nice. You can't do it. It's not a raffle. Sorry, dude. When we say the next prize is this, we have to be completely open and transparent. Otherwise, the first winner could just pick the most expensive prize just by monetary value. That we can't. So moving on.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks.
Yeah,
But it is what it is, yeah.
yeah. So we have our terms set out. And that's what we're gonna do. Because there are so many rules and laws and regulations around things like giveaways that we have to be down the line and completely straight. And any deviation from that can get us shut down and sued to death. So we don't.
Yep.
Or even potential prison time. So let's not.
Isn't that great? Yeah.
Because the thing with like things like giveaways is it can be considered fraud if you go doing the wrong thing. And fraud in this country, and probably most others, is there's pretty much no sentence other than a prison sentence. So just know.
Yep.
Moving on. Question for you mixed gods. I mean, I'll shout and see if they hear me.
Well, I mean, I got the beard for it.
Yeah, indeed you do. I'm more of the low-key, beardless type. How many hours have you spent playing your instruments last month?
Fucking very little because I spent most of it mixing.
Yep, about 2 for me. I did have a nice moment a couple of days ago where I decided. Someone said, "Oh, I'm selling this bass to get a jazz bass because I'm going to be in a Rage Against the Machine tribute band." And I was like, "Rage Against the Machine tribute band." I was like, I could just walk up and do that today. But I got on my little mental soapbox like you do sometimes. So I grabbed a bass and I played the first 3 Rage Against the Machine albums start to finish. And I was just like, right, because that's not like, oh, look at me. I listened to those albums pretty much on loop for my teenage years. They are tattooed on the inside of me, you know? Everybody's got those albums, right?
Cradle of Filth for me.
Yeah. Where if someone said to you, hey, we need somebody tomorrow, can you do it? You'd be like, all right. Probably listen to the album once just to refresh my memory and make a few notes.
That's what happens, though, when this becomes more serious, when this becomes your job.
Yeah.
I mean, playing an instrument is a hobby. You know, the only time I mostly play guitar now is when I'm thinking of demo songs for a video. Very rarely am I just sitting down and playing. Which, I mean, that's how it is for me. Unfortunately. Might be different for you, but that's sort of my experience.
Sorry, what's that? I'm back.
Kind of blacked out there, like fluff.
Yeah.
I blacked out what?
I was preparing to answer the next question.
Go ahead and answer the next question.
Oh, the question was, what about instrumental pickups? Any thoughts? Never heard of them. Sorry. Moving on.
Yep.
I just Googled it, looked at them, and went, I've never seen this before in my life. And I don't think anyone I've ever talked to has mentioned them either. So either their marketing sucks, or...
What are they?
They're just pickups. They look like pickups.
They're called instrumental pickups?
Yeah, which is a really bad name because I had to Google it just to find out that was a company and not just and not just David typing things badly.
David, goddammit.
Yeah, well, again, no offense to David in the chat. It's the company's the company's name.
Not. Yeah.
The company's name is so poor as a marketing name that it's like
I just don't know what it means. Like, what's instrumental pickup mean?
Yeah, and my first thought is it's pickups that go in your instruments, duh. So I had to Google it.
Yeah,
and
or
it's
is it
like
like very important?
Yeah.
It's very important. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's all the questions we have time for this week because we're already an hour and a half over time. But
you talk too much. That's what the problem is.
Fuck off.
I got him to do it, guys. 2 hours later, he finally told me to go fuck myself. So he is capable.
I'm very capable. I meter it out, and then it's more impactful when I finally use it. But yeah,
It's always fun to get on here, dude. Like we've been talking about this for a long time, so happy to be here. Happy to chill. Hope Liam is. Hope he's going to be emotionally okay with me taking his spot today.
I'm sure he'll live.
All right.
But yeah,
it was a lot of fun as always. Oh, as you guys improve your ears, do you find you listen to audio more critical? Oh boy. You want to take this question first?
Yeah. It's like if we make films, do you watch films and get more critical? And I think for most people who do this, the answer is yes. For me, the answer is no. I learned a long time ago, because I've been doing this now, 20 years this year. I learned, for the sake of my own sanity, to just go along for the ride. I can do both. I can put myself in the mentality of someone said, what do you think about this mix? What can I improve? And then I sit there and I concentrate on the elements and I go, I don't like this. I like this. What's this doing? I don't like this. And I give them the feedback. If I'm just putting on an album to listen to it, I don't. I sit back, I listen, the thing happens. I go, oh, this is nice.
Yeah.
Because I'm not looking. Or at least it's... and it sounds funny, but I physically lean in or I lean back and I feel myself doing it. If I'm just listening to music, I don't have to be critical because I've kind of taught myself to switch that on and off. Because if I don't, I'd go crazy.
True story. Yeah, absolutely. No, I think I mentioned something about earlier in the stream where it's like I go back to some of the old songs and then I hear this frequency just roaring away in the guitar tone. It's like, oh, I can't listen to this anymore. This is disgusting. I cannot listen to quite a few of albums that I used to listen to in the mid 2000s because they're just distorted to shit. Like there's a tom hit and it sounds, it's a tom hit, and I just can't go back to unhearing that now. So, like Belphegor, one of my favorite bands, one of their a couple of their records are like that. Like it's just like a mini just when a tom is played, and it's just like, man, that's so shit. I can't listen to that. Just the loudness wars, I guess. I didn't hear that at the time, obviously. Sounded great to me. I didn't know any different. But at this point, you know, going back, it's like, oh, that's terrible. I can't do that. Other times, like Adam said, I'm able to just ignore it sometimes. But like, I really can't go back and listen to Burzum that much anymore because I super have to be in a very atmospheric mood to not pay attention to all of the horrific problems that are going on with those productions. But I've always been an advocate for black metal. I was like, if there was just a small element of production, I think a lot of people would appreciate black metal a lot more than what it is today. Because I do believe that you can get the atmosphere and you can get the attitude and everything into black metal without it having to sound like complete dog shit.
Well, just to be
That's my
incendiary for a
opinion.
second, I think the problem with black metal is very similar to the problem with Pro Tools vocal users, where if you do make it sound decent where you can hear what's going on, people will be like, oh, that's not real black metal.
The black metal. Well, yeah, I mean, what,
just
then
let people enjoy things.
Where's the line? I mean, what do I have to do? I have to be in a forest naked carving somebody screaming into a bronze plate? I mean, when does this end? I mean, is it okay to comp together a master vocal track from 18 different takes, but I can't just edit one vocal take? I just see the line. I don't see. Now this is like a total different argument because like there's so much studio magic that happened in the tape days. People really want to give me examples of like how great Metallica are. I'm like, really? Metallica? Like the most edited band in tape history?
Yeah.
That's your fucking argument? Really? Wow, genius. So it's and nothing, whatever. Fuck Metallica. Fuck them. They did whatever they wanted to do for their vision. Great. That's all that mattered. They could play it live for the most part. most of the time.
Well, they could play something that
Except for
resembled
Lars.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't see, that's the thing that I stopped doing is I stopped trying to think of music as a competition. That's the number one thing that helped me enjoy music a lot more.
Good.
That's the truth. So I mean, like, if someone wants to program their guitar leads with Solemn Tones Odin 2 because they can't play guitar, but they have an idea, fucking great, do it.
Yeah.
Who cares? Yeah,
Oh, who of any consequence cares?
Yeah, exactly. So just just don't try to think of it as a competition, like I'm better than you, because you're gonna be humbled really quick by people who can do things far better than you, who may in other areas be far inferior than you.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm really good at mixing metal. That's really all I can do. Metal, symphonic metal, classical stuff. If you give me like a rock band, I'm gonna be like, I don't know what I'm doing here. So, yeah, Danny Boy, nothing else matters. There we go.
Rock is just metal. You just turn up the low end and turn up the reverb.
But I mean, I'm just saying, like, everyone's got their niche, like what I do, I just create 90s-ish cult sounding mixes because that's what that's like you doing the new metal thing where you can do a metalcore mix like you showed us today because it's like in you. Like I know exactly what this needs to sound like.
Yeah.
I'm in it. And that's sort of how it is for me with extreme music. Like I have a sound that I like internally that I'm going for, and it sounds this era.
Mm.
So if you try to give me a rock band to mix, I have to just learn how to mix rock. Like you need more mids. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure that I have to put more mids in this guitar tone? God, no.
Yeah, it's funny. No, I do try and be a lot broader, but that's because I've had some real curveballs thrown at me over the years. So I've kind of had to, like you say, pick up on doing all sorts of stuff. But there's always my sonic signature to it, and it's not because of an ego thing. It's because of the way I learned and the things I like. I inevitably end up using sounds or methods to get sounds that I like and shoehorning it into the thing I'm working on. So it's like it's supposed to sound like rock, and it sounds like me rock.
Well, I'm on a really big fascination right now is where I listen to a lot of synthwave. I'm a big fan of actually like cybergoth and some psytrance stuff.
Ooh.
I have to be in a particular mood. I have to be in a very particular mood I need to be in, but I do enjoy that stuff. And I'm in my head going, man, what if you put like Cell Dweller with psytrance with blast beats? What would this fucking sound like? Right? But I don't know how to produce Cell Dweller type music. I don't know how to do that side of industrial production. So I have the ideas, but I don't have the means yet, right? And this is what happens, when you finally get good at what you've always wanted to get good at, and then you grow bored with it and you want to grow and do something else. So welcome to the fucking club, guys. It never ends. You're never going to reach the finish line, so just enjoy the process.
Absolutely enjoy everything you do. Like the reason that I've ended up with 5 mixes on this song that you heard is because I enjoy it, and it's part of what drives me. And yeah, I do it for the thrill of the chase at this point, and that's where it should be. That's where, like, one of the guys in chat, I think it was Mage, was saying I play piano and bass every day. That's probably why I'm not so good at mixing. And as funny as that is, like, there is some resonance in there. I have kind of forsaken my instruments for the time being to focus that spare time that I have on doing the mixing thing. And just every waking hour that I'm not video editing or filming or driving to a job that will end up with video editing or filming, I'm in the studio tracking or I'm mixing because that's what I really live to do.
Very interesting how it's a solitary pursuit in some degree. Where
yes, it's the most solitary pursuit where we crave acceptance. Yeah, it's like,
isn't it interesting?
Please
like,
tell me that I did a
like-
good job, but don't come near me.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't touch me. Get the fuck away from
Yeah.
me.
And of
Yeah,
course,
how it's so fucking fascinating where we could be like exhausted, but you're like, hold on, I'm gonna record this guitar riff real quick. I got an idea for a guitar tone. 3 hours later,
yeah.
it's 5 o'clock in the morning. Shit. Did it again. No. But yeah, that's the life. And that's how it is for everyone.
It's
You know?
funny.
And that's why, I'm a mediocre guitar player because I don't play guitar nearly as much as I sit here working on different ideas and trying to come up with new things or new ideas.
Yeah. And I get sent songs by people and try and make them the best that they can be, and that's what makes me happy. But it's funny that just to top off the show, anyone who's been commenting on the Reaper versus Pro Tools video going, "Oh, Pro Tools is the industry standard," it's like, okay, yes, but do you work in these industries? And if you do, are you actually happy with what you do for a living? Or is it a 9 to 5 where you drudge and you go home and you don't like it? Because if that's the case, I'm happy with my life. That's how I win. So, there you go.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is at this point in 2021, like I said, if you have the option to always work in a singular DAW, that's cool. But when I like this project that I'm mixing for this guy in Reaper, when talking to him, I realized it would be easier and faster if he just zipped the Reaper project file and sent it to me. Because I'm competent. I know what I'm doing. It's faster. Hey, yeah, just record what you need, zip that whole thing in there, and shoot an email to me. Bam. So we saved a whole day of emailing him, explaining how to consolidate, how to make sure everything starts at 0, make sure everything mono is mono, and all these things into just one simple sentence in an email. Yeah, just throw the main project folder in a zip and send it to me.
Yeah, job done.
Cubase is the same
for everything. But yeah.
If someone's using Cubase, I just tell them to go File, Backup Project, send me the output. Because it's essentially the same thing. It deletes the pool, all the shit that you're not using, and it puts it in a new folder, and everything is congregated. And then you zip that and you send it. It's just like zipping the Reaper master folder, basically.
Yeah.
But so if you know how to use Pro Tools, great. If you know how to use Reaper, great. If you know how to use Cubase, great. That just means that you have more opportunities to find more work, because if you go or you work with someone who uses one of these DAWs, you can go, I know how to use that. I can do that. And then you're not going to be uncomfortable if the guy's like, well, actually, I use Studio One. You're going to be like, okay, yeah, it's fine. I can figure that out. I know these other DAWs, everything is kind of the same. It's not going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
And I know how Google works, how to insert track Studio One. Oh, okay, easy. How to consolidate tracks Studio One. Oh, okay, easy. Google answers a lot of questions for you.
Absolutely. And that wasn't really a thing when I started learning. It was like, here's a book. Whap.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Index. All right. Jesus Christ. Page.
This is 2 versions out of date.
It's either page
191,
2. Remember the indexes of old? All right. It's either page 24, 89, 131, 292, or 323.
Yeah.
All right. Not that one. Fuck. I forgot what pages were on here again. Jesus Christ. There. That's what it was like Googling with an index page of a textbook back in the day.
It's true.
Yeah. Numerous times my wife has called me in the studio to see when I'm actually coming to bed. The answer is soon.
Yes. Tomorrow. Speaking of which, I'm going to bed. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And yes, soon. Thanks, Scott, for helping me out to preach to the choir.
Pleasure.
And I'm sure we'll do this again sooner rather than later.
Hope so. Yes. It's up to the chat. It's up to the shit.
If anyone wants to carry on the conversations, we'll be in our Discord, which is in a link in the chat after the stream, although I might not be there for very long, so I'll be going to bed. But yeah, get there, join the giveaway, win something in the competition, and we'll see you in the Discord, and we'll see you next week here, if not at the
Cheers,
Mixer
everybody.
stream. Thanks. Bye. See you soon.
Hey everyone, that might be the end of the video, but if you fancy carrying on this conversation, we have a Discord server, link is in the description. We're also on Patreon, which is something you can really help us with. We also are on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter.